Welcome to Wednesday's ESPN FC Live. My name is Mark Donaldson, alongside the former Liverpool defender Stevie Nicol. Today we're talking Champions League, and we will continue to talk about Manchester United and what next for Erik ten Hag. But before we look back at yesterday's action in the Champions League, Man City winning, Arsenal winning, Celtic getting thumped. Stevie Nicol, your boys Liverpool in action against Bologna today. Confident?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's definitely a different Bologna from last season. They've lost their manager, they've lost two or three of the best players. So this is not the same Bologna of last year. And I fully expect Liverpool to carry on winning. Yes, they lost at home to Forest. I think that was just a bit of a blip. Not exactly fantastic against Wolves, but they won the game, and that's what it's all about. So I'm pretty confident. I'm really not worried about what's going to happen in this game. It should be, and I expect it to be, a comfortable victory.
If we're looking for Champions League favourites, right? Manchester City, Real Madrid, can we throw Arsenal and Liverpool in there as well?
No. Not favourites.
No, but among the favourites, Man City and Real Madrid are probably the two.
Well, how deep down do they go? I mean, are they 6th and 7th maybe? I mean, they're in the top 10. There's no question about that. I don't think.
Are they in the top 5?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so. No, I don't. Listen, Arsenal in the Champions League have not had the consistency that they've had in the Premier League, and Liverpool, pretty much you can say the same thing. You know, last year it was the Europa League, and they couldn't get over the line in that. And it's the same side. It's a new manager, so there's nothing really, certainly in Liverpool, that points towards winning the Champions League. And I think for Arsenal, do they have the experience to win the Champions League this year? I'm not so sure.
What about their game yesterday? I thought they were decent. First half, 2-0 up against Paris Saint-Germain. Got the early goals and looked pretty comfortable overall. Was it more Arsenal that impressed you yesterday, or PSG that disappointed you?
No, I think you've got to look at Arsenal and say this is the type of performance that we've been looking for from Arsenal in Europe. You know, they've been, performance-wise, I think they've been really inconsistent in Europe, whether it's home or away. And I thought at 2-0, although PSG were trying to get back in the second half, I didn't feel as though Arsenal were going to lose it. I certainly didn't think they were going to do what they did at the weekend against Leicester. And I was always confident they would see it out, and they pretty much did. They probably should have had another one. But this is I would say this performance is the kind of performance that Arsenal have to strive to achieve every time they step on the field in the Champions League. And that's whether they're at home or away. I mean, you look at City and Liverpool, regardless of whether they're home or away, they go and try and play their game. It seems to me that Arsenal try and change it up depending on the situation, which some might say is smart. But you know what? If you really believe that you're good, then I think you go and give the opposition things to think about and make them change for you, not the other way around.
I've had a look at the betting, and of course Manchester City and Real Madrid that are the favourites. City just from Real Madrid, but the top 6 is made up of Arsenal at 9-1, Bayern Munich at 10, then Liverpool and Barcelona at 12. You spoke about Arsenal and maybe not having yet the experience for a Champions League deep run, but did we see a maturity last night in that Arsenal performance against PSG?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say we did. The problem is it's one mature performance from an awful lot of games over the last couple of seasons that they haven't been showing that maturity. Now, is this the game that kicks them on? Is this the game that makes them believe? Because I think a lot of it is, do the players actually believe in Europe that they are as good as they are? They certainly believe it in the Premier League. I just don't think they've got that conviction in the Champions League. But to the question, they showed it last night. They showed that conviction. They showed that maturity to see the game out and keeping a clean sheet. The performance, I mean, everything about it smelt Champions League. So, unfortunately, though, it's tough to get over the fact that it is one performance, albeit a very, very good one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's see what the coming games brings, and if they can replicate what they did last night, then absolutely, then they would then come into the realms of possible champions.
But if they keep performing like they did on match day 1 in Bergamo, where they laid an egg, yeah, you're right. Feel free to get in touch with us using the comments. Producer Rob is keeping tabs on any of the questions that may be sent. And here's one about the structure and the layout of this Champions League group stage. That's a couple of games, or the league stage, should I say. That's a couple of games that we've had more today. How does this kind of compare, and does it prove that the kind of Super League is a bit of a bad idea when you've got such lopsided games as some of them have shown so far?
I honestly don't know how to answer that, because quite frankly, I've got no idea. I mean, before a ball was kicked, the experts told us that, 3 wins get you through, or 3 wins and a draw might get you through. I mean, it's impossible to figure out. Alright, I'll start again. It's impossible for me to figure out. Look, before a ball was kicked, I, along with a lot of others, figured out pretty early that, you know what, the better sides are going to go through anyway. Because there's so many games, it's set out that they know that the better sides, if they have a bad start, then what they'll do is they'll play the best 11 and get enough points, and then we'll see what we've been seeing over the last few years in the Champions League. When teams are safe, they play the reserves. I mean, the format might have changed, the whole figuring it out might have changed. The one thing that's changed is we don't know what day of the week it is when you look at the table. So, let's see, go figure it out. The usual teams are going to be through anyway.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. And guess what? They wouldn't have set this out any other way. They ain't going to set this out and gamble that some of the better teams might not get through.
No. I mean, this is now the opposite of what it used to be when you played, where it was a straight knockout. And if you get drawn against a decent side, you've got 2 decent sides in the first round, one of them's going to go out. You've now got 8 games.
No safety net.
No, and that's the other thing. We could speak about Manchester City, but look, City put out a strong lineup and absolutely demolished Slovan Bratislava. That was like a Carabao Cup game. What I want to talk about. Well, exactly, but hey, their second team's probably
right.
Yeah,
right.
And
get the points, and then the last 3 games you might see the reserves. I mean, so guess what? Nothing's changed.
No, except 2 more games, more money, and more games for the players, which a lot of them don't really want. So City won 4-0. There's not even any talking points from that because it was so routine. No injuries. Rico Lewis looked really good in that one. I want to focus for a minute on. Yes, sorry.
No, I think there's probably just one little thing to take from this game.
Which was?
Well, the last couple of games that City have had, the opposition, A, have been parked on the edge of the box, and B, have defended really, really well. I think the good thing for City in this game was that 4 different scorers, 4 goals, away from home, and they were able to play some football. And yes, the opposition tried to sit tight, but they just weren't good enough to do it.
No.
So I think the fact that they got the 4 goals and they got to be able to play a little bit of football, and they just had a little bit more space in and around the opposition penalty box, would take them back to, not that they're not confident, but a more confident team going forward. Because when you're drawing blanks and things are tight, it does take away a wee bit of your confidence going forward. So I think the fact that they got the 4 goals and the way they got them as well will just boost them back up again if they need a boost.
No, and they'll fancy their chances of scoring a few more against Fulham at home in the final game this weekend before the international break. So to the old Westfalen Stadion, the yellow wall, Signal Iduna Park yesterday. Borussia Dortmund against Celtic, and Owen Hargreaves pre-game in the UK was saying he fancies maybe Celtic to get something because of the way they're playing right now. 20 goals for, 0 against in Scotland, 6 goals at the weekend, but they weren't playing in Scotland last night. They were dining with the big boys and they got smashed by 7 goals to 1. So to put that into context, that's the third time that a Brendan Rodgers Celtic team has conceded 7. Granted, against tough opponents, Barcelona, PSG, and now last season's finalists. They've also conceded 6 at Atletico Madrid. Celtic are in form right now, so is this on the manager who says he will not change his way of playing in Europe, but should he?
Well, if you're the opposition, you're delighted to listen to the manager telling you that they're going to just be open and they're going to go toe-to-toe, particularly if you're a team like Borussia Dortmund. I mean, the facts don't lie. When you've lost so many games by such a large number, it tells you that as good as you might be in your own domestic league, you have to change if you're going to play against the big boys and compete. And I think that's the key word. It was a word that Craig Burley used on the show, ESPN FC, and it was compete, and that's exactly the word. Nobody's expecting Celtic to go to Borussia Dortmund and win, but they're expecting them to compete, and that just didn't happen. And I guess you cannot hide from the fact that the way they were set up. I don't know whether it's because the manager was stubborn. I don't know whether it's because the manager thinks they're better than they are. But he has to have a reality check. Hopefully this is a kick up the backside, because of the way the Champions League is. They've got a lot more games. So I guess the question will be the next time they step out against a proper side, how they go about it, because there's no question he got it horribly wrong in the way he set his team up. You got to compete at the very least. You got to keep tight at the very least, and then you can go from there. You just can't go all gun blazing from the first whistle and go in at half time getting beat 5-1. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. So he needs a reality check, and he needs to think about not just his players but the fans as well. I mean, imagine travelling all that way to watch that. I mean, that's just happening.
Especially when Rangers went there 2 years ago with a weakened side that Celtic probably have right now on their way to the Europa League final and won by 4-2. So, look, I get the top sides don't really need to change the way they play if they're playing home and away. Your Man Cities, your Real Madrids. But even the best sometimes maybe don't go as kind of gung-ho and are a little bit more cautious. When you played all those European ties, when you came up against the better sides, was there ever any away matches that your Liverpool manager kind of maybe once or twice just said, okay, let's be a little bit more defensive here? Or were you the same as the top sides in that you played your way regardless?
No, 100% going away, we were cautious.
There you go.
And you know, part of the reason for that is that, you know, it's 2 games and you're either in or you're out. So you can't afford to gamble, and so you have to be smart. Listen, at home, of course, we played a normal game, but away from home, don't give anything away. You know, if we don't give anything away and we don't get anything, then you know what, that's fine, because we'll win the game at home and then you're through. You know, so you have to do what's necessary to get through. I mean, or win the game, or certainly not lose the game. You know, if you're Celtic and you're going to Borussia Dortmund, I think you've got to be realistic and think, right, what do we do here so that we don't lose? And if we can get something on the counter, or if they take a step back, then we can move forward, you know. So yeah, we absolutely, away from home, keep it tight, give nothing away, and then you go from there. And that's how you should be doing it. You know, listen, all Brendan Rodgers has to do is look at Arsenal. What did they do against Man City? Look how good Arsenal are. And what did they do against City? Okay, they were down to 10 men, but I can assure you, even with 11, they were cautious, they went open, they gave nothing away. If Arsenal can do it, why can't Celtic do it?
final question on the Champions League. I'm going to take you back to May 1982. You were a young defender coming through the ranks at Liverpool. And over in Rotterdam, Aston Villa played Bayern Munich in the European Cup final, 1982, and Villa won. There's a repeat of that fixture today. It's for me, it's one of the it's a romantic fixture. It's one of the ties of the week. Bayern will fancy their chances. Harry Kane got a bit of stick for his performance from the German media against Leverkusen, but two really, really good English strikers in opposition today. What do you expect from this one at Villa Park?
I don't see how it's not going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's any way the Vincent Kompany is going to Villa and do anything other than try and play their game.
Mm-hmm.
And that means they're going to try and go forward. That means they're going to try and pass the ball out from the back. And I don't believe that if Villa are going to do anything else other than squeeze them high up to begin with. And if they don't win it, then shuffle back in and get into a position where they're strong and then counter. I mean, I really do. I really think it's pretty straightforward how these two sides are going to go about it. I mean, I think it's as straightforward as I've just said. Bayern will come to play. Villa will try and squeeze them early and then get a good defensive position in which, when they turn the ball over, they can break from. But that to me means chances and hopefully goals. Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is not just a romantic tie, but I think this will be a really good game to watch.
Brilliant. Under the lights, the whole end in full voice. Looking forward to that one, and of course full reaction to today's Champions League games and the European fixtures tomorrow from the Europa League and the Conference League on ESPN FC. Now, Manchester United and their toils and troubles. A lot has been said about this. I don't want to go over old ground, so I was looking for different angles how to approach this with you as far as why they are where they are right now. One of the things I don't think that's been asked or answered really in depth, I want to get your take on, is where Manchester United are right now, closer to the relegation zone than the top four, more down to Erik ten Hag or more down to the players? What do you reckon?
I think you've got to put most of it, or the majority, down to the manager. You know, the manager sets his team out, the manager creates the culture, the manager creates the way that you play, the patterns you play. He creates the platform, both defensively and attack-wise. So he has to have the majority of the blame. And the fact that a lot of the players they've signed clearly have been through his influence, the Dutch influence, in particular the Ajax influence, and the fact that they've made all those signings and they are struggling, the majority of it has to go down to Ten Hag. Now, yes, players inevitably take blame on the field of play, but there's no question that the majority of it has to land at Ten Hag's door. You know, as I said, you can't hang your hat on what they're trying to do. You know, like in Aston Villa, for example, you know that they're going to sit tight and they're going to try and counter. I don't know what Manchester United do. Against the best teams, you could say they sit tight and counter, but then that's only because the opposition are making them do that. Against the weaker sides, certainly in the Premier League, they're unsure going forward. They don't have a goal scorer. They certainly don't have a proven goal scorer. I mean, Højlund's been out injured, but this is a guy who's learning his trade. Zirkzee doesn't look like a goal scorer to me. Marcus Rashford's kind of fallen off a cliff in terms of goal scoring. Bruno Fernandes, his goal scoring exploits have kind of disappeared. I mean, where do you hang your hat on in terms of the players? And you can't hang your hat on the manager, because not only is his team performing badly, but when you listen to him in press conferences or any time he talks, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So if he's making no sense to us, I don't know whether he's making any sense to his players, because what you see on the field looks as though they're not quite sure what they're doing.
How much sense do you think he is speaking in this quote we made the decision from a clear review, what we have to improve and how we want to construct a squad, but we know it'll take some time. Is it just blah, 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 blah?
Yeah. Yeah. What, is this third year? 3 years he's been here? Come on. I mean, I'm not quite sure who... I'd love to know whether the people upstairs actually believe what he's saying. And they're talking about a review. Well, it may be, 6 Premier League games in? There is no change whatsoever to the Manchester United of today to the Manchester United of last season. So it's one thing to talk about the changes that you need. It's one thing to talk about what you need to do. But again, as the manager, it's on you. It's on you to make those changes and show that the changes that you're trying to make are coming to fruition. And you absolutely cannot say anything at all other than it's the same performances. I won't use any derogatory words. It's the same performances this year as we got for the whole of last season. So nothing's changed. So it's all work. Doesn't mean anything.
Here's a quote from earlier today that you gave to our colleagues in England at Sky Sports. I've proven in my career that always I will win. The last 6 years, I have 8 trophies. Now, I spoke with Xhaka at the weekend, and it's been discussed a lot on ESPN FC. It's probably now a case of when and not if he leaves Old Trafford. If that's done sooner rather than later, can the new person in charge get top 4 with these players?
Can you say that again? You froze there for a second.
So when I spoke with Xhaka at the weekend, and you guys on ESPN FC have discussed it as well, we've kind of all agreed, and you did as well on FC, that it's more a case of when rather than if Ten Hag leaves. So if they get someone in sooner rather than later, can that someone still get a top 4 spot this season with the players that they're going to have?
No, because they're not good enough.
Okay.
I mean, we've just been talking about going forward. Where's the goals coming from? You know, to win games, you need to score goals, and they're having a problem. I mean, one goal at Old Trafford all season, 5 goals in 6 games. I mean, that's top 4's like climbing Everest. To be fair, when you're talking about these sort of stats, and defensively, they're not particularly great either. You know, they can't defend in the middle of the park, and they can't create chances from the middle of the park either. So you've got a side that can't score goals, don't really create too much, and so whenever they do, they're not taking them, and there's not that many of them, so it makes it twice as hard. I mean, whoever takes over is going to have to do what Man United are going to have to do, is do what Liverpool did. When Klopp took over, Liverpool, I think, finished 7th last season before Klopp. Pretty much where Man United are. And it took time, but the biggest thing, not just the fact that Klopp's a great manager, the biggest thing was the turnover in players. They steadily and slowly but surely had a huge turnover of players, and then it all came together. And that's the model that Manchester United have to follow. You know, good owners, people in charge that know what they're doing. More importantly, probably as much as anything, well, there's 2 things: the manager and the recruitment. And if you get those things right, then you have a chance. So Manchester United right now need another manager. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, the guy losing his job, but it's just a fact of life that when you don't do a good job, particularly at a place like Manchester United, then unfortunately you have to move out the chair, and then somebody has to come in. But it has to be somebody who has a strong personality, who's powerful, who will create a culture, bit like what Klopp did, certainly what Fergie did when he came. And then you have to get the recruitment right. So Manchester United are miles away. I don't care who comes in right now. With this group of players, you're not getting anywhere near top 4. You need, yes, a good manager, but you need to move players on.
Okay, we're going to wrap up the Man United chat by talking about the players. We're going to play a simple game, keep or get rid. It's a lot easier for us to do this than it is for Manchester United with some of the players that they've got and the contracts that they are on. So the first one to begin with, are you keeping Marcus Rashford if it was as easy to do, or are you getting rid of Marcus Rashford?
No, I think it's time he moves on. He's been far from his best for too long. The money, the wages he's on is incredible. So if you got rid of him because he's not performing on the field, and you get rid of his wages as well, that means that you can go and get somebody who you can rely on. So I'm afraid Marcus Rashford would be a move on.
Anthony.
Yeah, not happening. At no stage since he came to Old Trafford has he looked like a Manchester United player or a Premier League player. So yeah, that's straightforward.
This next one's an interesting one. Bruno Fernandes.
I think you keep Bruno Fernandes. I think if there are, the Bruno Fernandes that plays for Portugal is what we want to see with Manchester United. But with Portugal, he's surrounded by really great players, and you can see that he can play with really great players. So Fernandes, I would keep.
What about the goalie, Onana?
Yeah, I would keep Onana. Yeah, I don't think he's I don't think he's world class, but I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He's got great feet. He does make the odd fantastic save, but he can't make a mistake. But I think there are bigger fish to fry in United. I would keep Onana.
Okay, so you've got rid of two. You're keeping two. The next one is probably going to go. Casemiro?
Yeah, I mean, fantastic player in his prime.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he doesn't have the legs to do the job that he needs to in the Premier League. Too many players can get past him and he can't recover. So yeah, Casemiro, along with the wages again, similar to Rashford, a lot of money in wages would make it a lot easier to bring in somebody who can make a difference. So yeah, Casemiro. Unfortunately, at this stage of his career, would have to move on.
Okay, that's 3-2 now in favour of getting rid compared to keeping. We've got two left, and the second last one, the penultimate one, is Mason Mount. A lot was expected when he joined from Chelsea, but he either hasn't lived up to that or he hasn't featured because of injuries or other things. What are you doing with Mason Mount?
Yeah, I know he's had his injuries, but there is nothing to suggest that you keep him. That would listen, at Chelsea he was an important player, but then that was a Chelsea side that was still struggling a little bit.
Are you on the fence here a little bit?
Well, I think there's a player in there.
There is.
So I think you move him on, but I think he's probably one of the last ones to move on.
Okay.
You can't just get rid of everybody straight away. So,
No.
So I would be on the fence with him. I would keep him and see what would happen with a settled team. Him and a settled team, I think would suit him better. Yeah. I'm on the fence with him quite honestly, but I think ultimately I would move him on though.
Yeah, well, just for the sake of the narrative, we'll stick him in the keep for now to make it 3-3. So we've got one left. Okay, Harry Maguire.
Yeah, he needs to move on. Yeah, he can't. There's no recovery. He cannot recover. And when he's played, he's made some mistakes, and that doesn't get you in the top four. So yeah, I'm afraid Harry Maguire needs to move on.
A lot of issues at Manchester United. I'm sure ESPN FC will be on top of them as always every night on ESPN+. Enjoy the Champions League football today, boys and girls. We'll be back with ESPN FC Live on Friday at 12 Eastern. Bye for now.
With Manchester United's home defeat at Old Trafford against Spurs, no surprise, it's Ten Hag and Bruno Fernandes on the back pages, minging in the rain, another day to forget. Ten Hag, though, says, I don't fear the sack. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Mario is with us, as is Nadem. Nadem's not in his lederhosen. That's disappointing. No. I lose that bet. Mark Ogden is here. We'll start with Oggy. He's a dead man walking, isn't he, Oggy? That'll be it. International break, he'll be out.
Well, that's the obvious way of looking at it. I think you're probably right. I think he's got 2 games this week: Porto away, Aston Villa away. Both very tough games. He needs I think we've gone past the point now where performances that make a difference. It's about wins. He has to win games. But obviously, the public noise coming out of the club is that nothing has changed, business as usual. But I think privately they're looking at options. The situation is United wanting to succeed because the financial aspects of getting rid of Ten Hag is high. You know, they have to pay his compensation. They have to bring somebody else in. And if they bring somebody else in, it's pretty obvious that whoever comes in would not want Anthony, would probably not be that keen on Joshua Zirkzee, might be not keen on Rasmus Højlund. So all of a sudden, there's £200 million worth of player there that the new manager might not use. So they're desperate for Ten Hag to succeed. But I think they're getting to the point now where, unless he has a miraculous win at Aston Villa at the weekend, he is a dead man walking. And I'd imagine by this time next week, then I think we're talking about Erik Ten Hag in the past tense at Man United.
So what does it look like? Maybe Van Nistelrooy coming in as an interim, Mark, taking over till the end of the season, and they readdress what's going on. Financially, that wouldn't kill them, would it?
I think Van Nistelrooy would be an interim for a short-term basis. I don't think he'd be the guy until the end of the season. Look, when Van Nistelrooy came in during the summer, it was obvious that he was there as a kind of almost a, just sitting there in case something happened. Because last season, when it was going really bad for Ten Hag, there was nobody at the club who could have stepped up. Nobody credible anyway. So Van Nistelrooy has that, even though he's only had a year in management in Holland with PSV. But I don't think that they would install Van Nistelrooy and say, right, he's yours to the end of the season. I think they keep him in place until they can get a manager in. Now, obviously, there are managers right now that are available. We know that Gareth Southgate is on the list. We know that Thomas Tuchel's available. We know that Graham Potter's available. Graham Potter's been busy doing some media rounds in the last couple of days, so he's trying to push his kind of availability to any interested clubs. I don't think Potter's up to the job at Man United, but he's available. So there are managers that are managing at the top level that could take a job next week if needed. But each of those managers has issues that wouldn't, quite fit with the job. Southgate, Tuchel, and Potter. So they might want to play the long game, but I don't think Van Nistelrooy would come in and wait until the summer because, United need to get back in the Champions League. They need a coach who's got a proven track record, and Van Nistelrooy hasn't got that.
Yeah, but what a depressing list that is, Mark, when you look at it. Crikey. Tuchel they interviewed in the summer, went, no, we'll stick with Ten Hag. Gareth Southgate, we know the issues that he brings with us, and the rest are forgettable.
Absolutely. Listen, Graham Potter, for me, he failed at Chelsea. I don't think he's got the personality for the job. I don't think he's big enough for the job in terms of his presence and his track record. So I think we should discount him. But Dan Ashworth, who worked with him at Brighton, is at Man United. So we have to factor in Graham Potter's history with one of the senior executives at Man United. Gareth Southgate, he's a winner, isn't he? Almost. He's close to being a winner. He's kind of, he made England the most successful team they've had for nearly 60 years. No, listen, Gareth Southgate has got good relationships with, again, Dan Ashworth from the FA, Dave Brailsford, who he knows very well from Ineos. One of Gareth Southgate's closest, let's say, friends, advisors, is very, very close to Ineos as well. So, connect the dots and Gareth Southgate would work. Ineos wants somebody who would fit into their structure, I guess, their blueprint, and Southgate is perfect for that, apart from the fact he's not a top-level Champions League, Premier League manager. Thomas Tuchel is. Thomas Tuchel, for me, would be the perfect coach for Man United. He's got a charisma, he's got a presence. They need a personality now. What has happened with Ten Hag, apart from the fact that he's not up to it as a coach, he hasn't got the personality. And, you look at Man United's success under Sir Alex Ferguson, he was a big personality. Now, nobody's going to replicate that, but the people that have come in since, David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Van Gaal was yesterday's man. Jose Mourinho was burnt out by the time he got to United. Solskjaer wasn't a personality. They need somebody on the touchline who the players can look to and think, something, that guy's done it, he's been there, he's done it, he's on my side. And I think Tuchel's problem is that he can't manage upwards. He can manage the team, but he can't manage upwards.
Haven't they rejected him once already, Mark?
No, I think it was more a case of Tuchel was not keen on the structure that he was being sold at Man United. He was never offered the job, but I'd imagine there were reservations at United because Ineos will want somebody that would fall, like I said, it will fall into their way of thinking. Tuchel probably wouldn't do that. Tuchel was challenging with Chelsea's owners. He lasted 5 minutes with the new regime at Chelsea. But what was sold to Thomas Tuchel, if he became the Man United manager, was the situation whereby, look, you've got a structure above you with Dan Ashworth, with Omar Barara, the CEO, with Jason Woodcock, the technical director, and then above them, you've got Dave Brailsford, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Joe Glazer. So there's kind of a labyrinthine kind of structure ahead of him, and Tuchel wanted a bit more streamlined, structure.
Yeah.
He's just had a situation at Chelsea whereby people have come in that don't really know what they're doing. Does he want to do that again under Man United? But that was 6 months ago nearly. Thomas Tuchel hasn't got a job yet, and I think, all managers have an ego, and some have bigger egos than others, and Thomas Tuchel might think, I could be the guy finally to turn Man United around. So it'll appeal to his ego. And what else is out there? What else is keeping Thomas Tuchel from taking the Man United job right now? Nothing.
To quote the title of this pod, this is Manchester United. Yeah. You take a look at those managers, Real Madrid, Barcelona, but no one is touching any of those with the exception of Thomas Tuchel, who they've already interviewed but didn't really like the structure, which is still the same that it's going to be if he even comes over now.
Well, because they're all coming up with the same answer, that as good as they think they are as coaches and individuals, and they think they could take Manchester United forward, what they've presented in front of them, they realise that I can't be successful with this. I can't be successful with the players that they've got because the players are not good enough, and I can't be successful because it doesn't look as though I'm going to have that much of a say in the changes that are going to be made. So they're all rejecting it. That's basically it in a nutshell.
But given that list, Ali, Thomas Tuchel should be on that list on his own, really, compared to what the rest have achieved. However you want to sell Gareth Southgate. Just remind us why it went so badly wrong at Bayern and why it would be different at Manchester United.
Because handling the inner workings of the relationships in a club was an issue for Thomas Tuchel.
But that's fine at United because there's no one really there interfering.
And the fact that there was always somebody above Thomas Tuchel or behind Thomas Tuchel saying, maybe this player, maybe that player, he should be playing, he shouldn't be playing. All of those things were going on at Bayern Munich. All the while, Thomas Tuchel is saying, but the guys that we have here are not good enough, and we need to go get players. See, you find Palhinha at Bayern Munich now, yeah? It happened this past summer. Thomas Tuchel was asking for him last winter, right? And they didn't bring him at that point. And whatever, and that's just one example of the many things that went on at Bayern Munich. But at the very core of his failure at Bayern Munich was the fact that from the moment he got to Bayern Munich, there were inner workings in the club that were pushing Thomas Tuchel into a direction that he didn't want to go, and he was pushing back. And that never worked. And so if indeed that was the case at Bayern Munich, a team that I think we can all agree it's better structured than Manchester United and has more talent available than Manchester United, didn't quite work out there, what makes you believe that if you just continue the path of this trajectory, what makes you believe that it would be better at Manchester United? I don't think it would.
Of course, this isn't all about Ten Hag. It's about the recruitment, and it's also about the players, Naden, who yesterday looked like they didn't care.
Well, those are your words, obviously. I think perhaps they did care a little bit, but the performance just wasn't there at all. I think even before the red card to Bruno Fernandes, they were significantly beaten. I thought Spurs ran all over them. They were running with the ball, without the ball. They were more dynamic. They seemed to understand their structure better. And for United, one thing which we saw, say, last week when we were debating Arsenal, is a team that can park a bus. United have no bus to park. So as soon as they went down to 10, you're wondering, well, how many goals will Spurs score? Obviously, United had a bit of a go in the second half as such, but to be so resoundingly beaten by a team who most people would say aren't going to be challenging for a Premier League title this year, are unlikely to be, well, maybe they'll be in the run-in for the Champions League, who knows? United was so resoundingly beaten at home that it did raise some significant questions. The nature of some of those goals, from the way they started, the way the second half started, it was a real mess. And I know recency bias would say this is the worst performance, but I remember last year in the FL Cup when they lost 3-0 at home to Newcastle, to a Newcastle side who were just trying to make sure that players finished the game healthy. I think there have been some really bad games on Erik ten Hag's record, and this is definitely one of them. And the fact it was a primetime game says a lot, because this was a game where they would really like to test themselves. And with the players that they brought in this summer, to limp through the game the way that they did, unfortunately, you just got to call it pathetic.
It was the...
Can I just jump in?
Of course.
You know the word you used, care?
Yeah.
It's interesting because Naden said they do care. The problem is they don't care from start to finish. Different spells in the game, you could see that it meant something, particularly when they went down to 10. Right. You could see they cared, but it's too late. You can't get away with every, a situation that happens and they're like, all right, I'm going to show.
That's not how it works. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be clued in and care from the minute that whistle goes till the minute it stops.
So is that all on Ten Hag?
Absolutely.
These are professional international players. They don't need Ten Hag going, this is a big game, by the way, I need you to care from the start. They should have professional pride, shouldn't they?
He doesn't. He's the one that creates the culture where that happens. And he clearly hasn't. You know, the goals and, I mean, the performance in general, with people not stepping up when they need to, when the bell goes and when the question's asked. You know, the first goal is a great example.
They try to outsmart the opponent and then being the team that's being outsmarted by the opponent instead of they handling the situation. And I think that becomes, even the substitutions that come on to change the game, it does not work for them. It's just, I think at the moment now, you understand, what is really happening is that he has invested in the team. That's one of the key things. You know, like I've heard him say like, oh, I didn't invest that much, or they didn't back me as much as I would like it to be. But now he cannot use that point anymore because clearly they stood behind him. And now the question came, the same way I said the end of the season, if they still believe in his structure, they keep him on. They did. And then they brought Van Nistelrooy in. Van Nistelrooy they brought in. I think the reason why they brought him in is because sometimes you need a certain figure in front of the group to make sure the group listens, or at least you can get there. You know, like when the moment is hard for the coach, you need a person in front of the group that everybody will go, like when he gets upset or when he speaks, at least we respect him. And I think the moment is going more to Van Nistelrooy than Ten Hag.
Do you think Van Nistelrooy will be the next coach, and do you think there's a possibility that could work, Mario?
I don't think so. Why? Because I don't think that they would do that like that, and I don't think Ruud would like it to be like that. Because I think maybe if they would have told him that in advance and said to him like, come here, and then you're gonna get the job, that could be an option. But if that's not the case, I don't see Ruud quickly going and take that job, because I think Ten Hag, you know, sometimes, I mean, football is funny. The loyalty doesn't always speak, but I think he might be a little bit more loyal because Dutch guys together brings him in. I don't think he might want to take that job and say like, let me just slow down a little bit and see how this works out for whoever is coming next.
What if he takes his glasses off? Like, oh, there it is. We didn't know he was here. Nadem?
Yeah, so the point I wanted to make, in regards to that game, the first goal scored by Johnson, I think one thing that we say with football is that it changes all the time. Sort of philosophies about playing out from the back, being more direct and so on. But one thing that probably links everybody that's played the game before is the importance of starting well. And there'll be so many like similarities between, say, a game today and a game 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Like at the start of the game, you try to sort of set yourself up. Maybe it's a bit more physical at the start of a game. Maybe it's a case of putting a tackle in. But you
and Jacob Ramsey in the wide positions, Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins through the middle. For Bayern, Neuer is the goalkeeper, Lima, Upamecano, Min-Jae Kim and Davies are the back four, Kimmich and Pavlovic in midfield, Elise, Coman and Gnabry in support of Harry Kane up front. After all the waiting, Kev Hatchard, finally this most anticipated match of round two in the league phase about to get underway.
Yeah, it's a proper UEFA Champions League night. Wonderful sense of anticipation. It's been such a long wait. Many Villa fans wouldn't have thought they might ever see Bayern München come to Villa Park and play in a game of this magnitude. But what an effort it's been from Unai Emery and his players to get to this stage. And now they do face the acid test, Joe, because this team under Vincent Kompany has been sensational. Lots of goals, lots of risk they take in their play. They push up, they want to play in your half, and they want to test your defence at every moment.
Well, Bayern will get the game underway in their change kits, black and grey from left to right, towards the North Stand at Villa Park, and Aston Villa will attack the Holt End in the first half in the claret and blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks. Header away by Yuri Tielemans, who scored Aston Villa's first goal back in the Champions League on matchday 1 away at Young Boys a couple of weeks ago. Bayern win it back and go all the way back now to Manuel Neuer. All in red away to the left-hand left-hand side, 38 years of age. He has done and seen it all in the UEFA Champions League. Twice a competition winner with Bayern in both 2013 and 2020. Bayern have possession now. Back it goes to Neuer once more on the edge of his own penalty area. It's a new era at Villa Park, but with more than just a nod to Aston Villa's European glory days. It feels fitting that Bayern are the opponents for their first home game back in the Champions League. And Konrad Laimer has possession, 6 or 7 metres into opposition territory. Now Kimmich on the halfway line, high ball up the inside right channel. Luca Digne has to watch that carefully under pressure from Gnabry, and Martinez a little slow to come in off his line, and the ball knocked behind by Digne, the fullback, out of play for a Bayern corner.
Yeah, really familiar shape to Bayern so far, Joe. In build-up, they'll have a line of 3 at the back. They'll have the 2 centre-backs, and Joshua Kimmich will drop in. Then he'll have 2 further forwards, and effectively a front 5. He wants 1 man in every zone of the pitch. 2 on the wings, 2 in the half spaces, 1 in the middle.
90 seconds gone. You can hear the noise of the thousands of travelling fans as Michael Olise takes the corner, left-footed, headed away from very close range in front of his own goal by Amadou Onana, and it's a Bayern throw on the far side of the field, a metre or so from the left-hand corner flag on the opposite side to where the corner was taken from initially.
I thought that was an outstanding header, Joe. Lots of traffic there. He dealt with that really well.
Aston Villa have possession now with Pau Torres, the Spaniard, on the edge of his own penalty area. Ball threaded forward up towards the halfway line, and Bayern have possession again. And Bayern have made the more confident start. You could understand if there was a little bit of nervousness among these Aston Villa players, particularly Jadon Philogene. What a vote of confidence for him from Unai Emery tonight. Just 45 minutes of football so far this season for the young frontman who's been preferred to Leon Bailey tonight, Kev. I mean, what an opportunity it is for Philogene.
And really interesting to see if it's to do with what he does without the ball as much as what he does with it, that discipline, that ability to hold this shape. What Villa are doing is they've effectively got a 4-4-2 without the ball in a kind of mid-block, so they're not pressing high because they daren't have Bayern get in behind them, so they're just setting up very similar to what we've seen Unai Emery do time and time again in the Champions League. Villarreal, when they got to the semi-finals, it was this kind of shape without the ball.
Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. 3 minutes played at Villa Park, live on UEFA Champions League Matchday Live. High ball hoisted downfield towards Laimer, header away by Digne, and Aston Villa come forward. They give it away through Tielemans. The ball is picked up in the centre circle by Upamecano. Quickly to Coman, couple of metres from the edge of the penalty area. Onto his right foot, lays it square in infield to Gnabry, and then the low shot from Kimmich has little power behind it, and it's easily gathered by the goalkeeper Martinez.
I think he just slipped as he hit that, Joe. He didn't really get the purchase on it that he would usually get. He's very adept at striking from that kind of range, Joshua Kimmich. I think what we've seen from Villa already is a little bit of panic in possession. A couple of times we've seen rushed passes. You can't do that with Bayern. You can't keep giving the ball away to them. So Unai Emery will want them to just play their way into this and be a bit calmer in possession.
Both teams have made very good starts to the new campaign. Aston Villa with 6 wins from 8 in all competitions so far this season, and Bayern have responded to a third-place finish in the Bundesliga last year by winning 4 of their first 5 league matches. Aston Villa have possession now in the left-back position on the near side of the field with Digne. Quick ball forward to the halfway line. Morgan Rogers in a tangle with Upamecano, who was supported by Olise, and Bayern win possession back, though Upamecano now gives it away. Pau Torres pivots in possession. Early ball forward towards the halfway line for Aston Villa. Converged upon by 2 black shirts was Morgan Rogers. And here come Bayern with Coman. Couple of step overs, 10 metres from the edge of the box. Tried to knock it up the inside left channel towards Alphonso Davies inside the penalty area. He couldn't get a touch on it. Quite a congested area, that middle third of the pitch for the moment, as Aston Villa go back towards goalkeeper Martinez, overhit by Onana. And for a moment it looked like the ball might have gone out of play for a corner. Martinez just about scrambled to prevent it, and it's a Bayern throw, 0-0.
It's a big night. It's a really important night for Aston Villa, and I think some of that tension's just creeping in early on here. We're just seeing some passes overhit, underhit. Just interestingly, Gnabry's playing on the right-hand side. We thought he might play on the left.
Crossfield ball by Pavlovic. Out to the far side of the field. Inside left channel is Davies. Now Pavlovic again. Aston Villa with everybody back behind the ball. At a raucous Villa Park, it's still 0-0. Lima, right wing position, teases it back to Elise, flicks the ball infield deftly with the outside of his boot. Now Upamecano, tall and slender with the blue boots on. Bayern trying to move possession quickly. They've made, as I say, much the more confident start, though that would be expected. As Kimmich crosses, Harry Kane with a header. What a good save by the goalkeeper. The flag, I think, did go up against Kane. And indeed, the offside flag has been raised on the near side of the field. Martinez wasn't to know that. It was a fine save. Kane was just offside. It was a good decision.
Scores elsewhere. Liverpool 0, Bologna. Liverpool have started really brightly at Anfield. Dinamo Zagreb 0, Monaco 0. Goalless between Benfica, Atletico, Lille, Real Madrid, Sturm, Graz, Club Brugge. As is the case at Leipzig, Juventus still waiting for the first late goal of the night. But Juventus have lost their captain, Bremer, the central defender, after a collision with Lois Openda. Federico Gatti already on. Giorgio Chiellini in the stands. Leipzig 0, Juventus 0.
What a night on UEFA Champions League. Match day live, match day 2 of the inaugural league phase. We are live on UEFA.com and the Champions League app. Plus in North America on Sirius XM-FC. Min-Jae Kim for Bayern. Back to the goalkeeper, Neuer. Bayern have dominated possession inside the opening 6.5 minutes, but it's still Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0, despite the tremendous noise that's beating down from the stands. Bayern had possession, and Kane has dropped deep, as he likes to do, that customary almost quarterback position midway inside his own half the field, given away by Min-Jae Kim. Aston Villa have possession again in the left wing now with Ramsey. Ramsey, the local boy, born in Great Bar, part of the second city of Birmingham. Now Pau Torres, 10 metres into opposition territory. Got a great scoring record at Villa Park, has Harry Kane. And though the offside flag was up, Kev Hatchard against him a few moments ago, it was a terrific save from Martinez, who wasn't to know that he was offside.
Yeah, and I think what was concerning from Villa's point of view, Joshua Kimmich has always been seen by some as either a really good right-back or maybe a defensive midfielder. I've always thought that actually he's at his best when he can dictate and he can orchestrate the game. He delivers those crosses into the penalty area so very well. You can't stand off him, you have to engage with him, and Villa have to do that more quickly.
7 goals involvement for Harry Kane in 6 appearances at Villa Park. Villa on the break, Tielemans to Watkins up the middle, couldn't flick it into the path of the onrushing Rodgers, and Bayern have possession back with Kimmich 10 metres shy of the halfway line. Now they're on the counter-attack. The ball is threaded towards the far side, the left, and Davis, who checks infield in front of the 2 dugouts on that far side, the old Trinity Road side of Villa Park, and Vincent Kompany is wearing his trademark baseball cap. A free-flowing and goal-laden start for Bayern under his stewardship. Out in the left wing position is Coman. Back to Davies again. Bayern keep possession midway inside the Villa half. Early ball from Kimmich. Gnabry back post. Squares it towards Kane. Cleared away. It'll drop into the penalty area now for Elise. Dead ball line crosses. Pau Torres turns it behind as Bayern go close again. They've won themselves a corner away to the right-hand side, 0-0.
He's been in really good form this season, Serge Gnabry. I'm really surprised he doesn't try and hit this. He's got the opportunity to bring it down, maybe strike right-footed at goal, but he tries to be unselfish, tries to lay it across to the far post, but he had the space to go for goal.
Such a good record in England. Serge Gnabry, 7 Champions League goals scored in England. Michael Elise with the corner left-footed, not the best of deliveries by his very high standards, and the referee spotted an infringement in the penalty area anyway, and Bayern will have a free kick. 9 minutes gone, Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0.
First goal of the late kickoffs, and it has come at Anfield, and it has been coming. 11 minutes on the clock. It is Alexis McAllister who scored from close range. Lovely build-up from Liverpool. They worked it to the right side of the penalty area. Mo Salah cut in onto his left foot and just whipped the ball to the back post. McAllister met it unmarked from a couple of metres out. Liverpool 1, Bologna 0.
Liverpool, who like Bayern, have won the UEFA Champions League on 6 occasions. There'll be a throw to Bayern, led with the edge of the penalty area as we look at it. Coman, and we'll leave it now for Alphonso Davies to come forward. Still awaiting the first goal, still awaiting the first clear-cut chance in the game so far. The supporters have certainly brought the atmosphere, and there's a good intensity and vigour to what we're seeing on the field. Aston Villa, the home team, allowing Bayern to have possession. Bayern from left to right. with Upamecano on the halfway line under pressure from Watkins, but he shovels it to his left, and Min-Jae Kim will roll it back to Neuer.
It's really interesting, Joe. There's a phrase attached to Bayern, Mia San Mia, we are who we are. And it so ties in with what Kompany is doing, because what he did from the get-go when he arrived is he said, we're going to play this way, we're going to take full risk, we're going to commit men forwards, and that's exactly what they're doing. They are playing such a high defensive line. If Villa are going to hurt Bayern, that's the way to do it, to try and get Ollie Watkins with his pace in behind that high defensive line.
Well, Vincent Kompany is giving his reflections in the build-up on Aston Villa. He's compared them to Leverkusen, who, of course, you would expect to be Bayern's rivals in the Bundesliga title race once again this campaign, as Bayern look to win their title back. Here is Min-Jae Kim on the halfway line. And Bayern continue to dominate possession and territory. Crossfield ball left to right from Elise, swinging away behind Lima, who has to race across to keep it in on the near side touchline. Back to Kimmich, unopposed and not pressed by Aston Villa. 10 metres into opposition territory. That's a square ball to Upamecano, who's standing the number 2 alone inside the centre circle. Elise forward to Coman. Ball back to Elise was intercepted, and Ezri Konsa for Aston Villa will play it back to his goalkeeper. Martinez clears high and long, but only Watkins is upfield. Min-Jae Kim, I think, left it for Upamecano, who will scoop it back to Neuer. Every time Aston Villa hoist the ball downfield, you can feel the excitement levels in the crowd go up, Kev, but they haven't really been able to get the front 2 of Watkins or Rodgers into the game at all so far.
No, that's because Bayern have been able to dictate possession tempo so far, but they can apply pressure to Upamecano and Kim. There are opportunities to do it.
Out on the left-hand side is Coman in that black and grey shirt. Back it goes to the edge of the penalty area. Pavlovic, corner of the box. Quick ball to Elise, tucks it backwards away from goal, and it was a misplaced pass. Kimmich couldn't get there, and Villa now break. Watkins over halfway, the ball was overhit. Neuer had a good starting position and was able to clear only as far as Digne. Rather optimistic shouts of shoot with Digne standing in the left-back position. Neuer was very easily back in position, and Aston Villa have the ball with their goalkeeper Martinez 0-0.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Joe. That opportunity to get in behind that high line, and look how far out Neuer had to be, midway inside his own half.
Oh, good flick infield by Watkins, and Philogene is chasing and racing back towards his own goal for Bayern. Davies was able to get it away. A slightly risky manoeuvre on the edge of his own penalty area. Now Lima's conceded possession. That's the foul by Michael Elise, who knows what it's like to play at Villa Park, signing from Crystal Palace of the Premier League in the summer. Digne is tripped, and the Aston Villa fans will get involved. They have a free kick on the halfway line. And here they take it quickly, looking for Ramsey in the penalty area. Blocked off by Upamecano, smuggled away. Only as far as Tielemans is 30 metres out. Wide to the near side of left, and Ramsey. Best bit of possession in the game so far for Aston Villa. 13.5 minutes played. UEFA Champions League live. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. Villa's first home game in this competition for over 4 decades. And tonight, they want to make it count. On the halfway line is Diego Carlos, and Aston Villa have comfortable possession. Pau Torres finds Digne, and it remains scoreless.
A goal in Lisbon. Benfica 1, Atletico 0. The goal scored by Kerem Aktürkoğlu, who impressed in this competition last season for Galatasaray. Now Benfica player. They pressed Atletico aggressively. The Spanish side lost the ball near their own area. A sharp pass into Aktürkoğlu, and he just knocked it past Jan Oblak. And in truth, Benfica have been on top there. Benfica 1, Atletico 0.
Tielemans inside left channel, and now Luca Digne coming forward on the overlap. The dead ball line, he loops in the cross to the back post. Watkins heads it over the top. Big opportunity for Aston Villa, and their main man Watkins. 4 goals so far for the season. Maybe Min-Jae Kim just did enough from close range to prevent him from getting it on target, but the whole 10 roars away to the left-hand side. It's still 0-0 as Aston Villa threaten for the first time tonight, Kev Hatchard.
Yeah, much better, Joe, much better. Get Digne into that area. He just lifts it and just begs Watkins to really attack it, but Kim actually does well because he gets stuck underneath it, but he jumps enough to just put Watkins off, and it's too difficult to header.
I think Unai Emery's team is starting to settle into the game with a quarter of an hour played, and Kimmich has possession midway inside his own half the field. you can feel that maybe some of the early nerves, which were totally understandable, are starting to dissipate. But here come Bayern on the near side, the right, with Elise. Tries to skip in field, but there's no way through beyond the tall frame of Pau Torres. And Aston Villa have possession again with Tielemans. Early ball from the midway point of his own half, right down the middle to Watkins in a tangle with Upamecano. The French international gets the better of him, and Bayern come away with possession as Aston Villa look to catch them quickly on the counter-attack.
Bayern aren't going to change the way they play. They're going to keep pushing up. They're going to keep taking that risk. They're going to keep saying, we'll play this high line.
There are gaps opening up for Aston Villa now. Well, Rodgers races up the middle and his pass can't find Watkins. It was all too easily telegraphed. Min-jae Kim in the way to make the interception, the South Korean. There's a really interesting contrast of styles on show tonight, Kev, you've been alluding to, and we're really starting to see it come into play now.
And what we're now starting to see is when Villa do win it and start those quick transitions, they're a lot more measured. That first pass has to be perfect because you have to play through the wave of pressure. And then if you get it right, then you can see where's Watkins. Is he in behind? Can we release him? And that will put Upamecano and Kim under huge pressure, as they've now started to do.
Well, Bayern have had 76% of the possession so far beneath the Villa Park floodlights, but Aston Villa direct on the counter-attack are maybe the team who look a little more likely to create something in these early stages, though Bayern do have an excellent record against English clubs in recent times. In possession with Min-jae Kim. Everybody inside the Aston Villa half, bar Bayern goalkeeper Neuer. Bayern playing from left to right in the first period towards the two-tiered north stand. Kimmich to the right of the centre circle. Little square ball to Elise, has picked up a pocket of space. Villa standing about 10 metres forward of the edge of their own penalty area. Elise's ball threaded up the near side, the right. Lima wins a corner off Pau Torres.
Before that run by Lima, he'd made about 3 in the inside right channel, and Bayern hadn't found him. But Villa hadn't tracked him either. So he's making that run. It's a good example of the rotation. He'll come in from right back. Gnabry will go out and hug the touchline. You'll see that with Davies on the left as well. They do that very, very well in this company system. They'll have the fullbacks underlap in those half spaces.
A European football expert, Kev Hatchard, with us tonight on UEFA Champions League Matchday Live. Our main commentary is at Villa Park. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. Corner to the German Bundesliga team. On the near side, Elise left-footed in, swinging. Headed away at the near post. It'll drop out to Coman on the edge of the penalty area. And he's stumbling back as he slices it high and away and behind for a goal kick.
Scores in the other 6 games tonight. Dinamo Zagreb 0, Monaco 0, Sturm Graz 0, Club Brugge 0. Leipzig 0, Juventus 0, Benfica 1, Atletico 0. Actacoglu with the only goal there. It's still Lille 0, Real Madrid 0. Jude Bellingham's just had a chance, and Liverpool are 1-0 up on Bologna after that goal from Alexis McAllister. Darwin Nunez has had the ball in the back of the net too, but he was a metre or so offside when he was slipped in one-on-one. Liverpool 1, Bologna 0.
Prince William among the interested spectators tonight at Villa Park. 42,000 in this famous old ground, and one of the grand old stately homes of English football that's been modernised for the new era, always very atmospheric. And this time it hosts a UEFA Champions League match for the first time since the 1980s. Here is Upamecano, midway inside Aston Villa territory. Now Elise's ball back to Pavlovic, who made his first team breakthrough at Bayern last season, given away by Coman at the expense of a foul from Philogene, right in front of the match referee, Radu Petrescu of Romania, and it's a Bayern free kick about 5 or 6 metres into Villa territory.
Do you know what though, Joe? Unai Emery won't mind that. He'll say to Philogene, you keep doing that, you keep trying to make that jump, because if we win it, we're in. That's the risk that Bayern are constantly taking here, because if they lose it, if there's a wayward pass, if there's a miscommunication, only takes one pass and Villa are through.
And in Ollie Watkins, they have one of the best finishers in Europe over the last season or two. Here's Upamecano, lip of the centre circle, steers the ball wide on the angle towards the near side, the right. Stretching is Jacob Ramsey, who has been in Aston Villa since the age of 6 to poke it out of play.
It's exactly what I'm talking about there, Joe. If Ramsey was unfortunate, couldn't quite cut it out, but if he had, Upamecano's out the game there because he's played it out to that right-hand side and he can't get across in time. So it's fascinating. This Bayern system has been so successful, so impressive, but there is so much risk built in to the way they play. It's a fascinating watch.
And actually, Villa have protected Emi Martinez well so far, up against, as you say, Kev, a Bayern team that has scored 30 goals already so far this season. 9, remember, on the opening match day. 9-2 to beat Dinamo Zagreb. Here's Digne in the left-back position. Steers the ball backwards to Pau Torres. Now Martinez a couple of metres forward of his own goal line. Martinez a couple of confident touches away from Elise. High-raking ball down the middle, and Watkins goes down in the centre circle. And that's a foul by Upamecano, and the first yellow card of the night produced by the referee. And Watkins starting to cause all sorts of problems for Bayern with his pace down the middle, just as you've been saying, Ken.
That's a massive boost for Villa, because what he does is he backs into Upamecano and then he spins him. And as soon as he spins him, Upamecano knows he's in trouble. He's virtually on the edge of the centre circle. If that's closer to goal, Upamecano's in big, big trouble. So now Villa know that they can try and get that one-on-one going all the time. Upamecano against Watkins.
Unai Emery's got his dark coat on, he's got his hair slicked back, a great record in European competitions, in the UEFA Europa League in particular, of course, Unai Emery. Free kick to Aston Villa, Tielemans hands on hips, the number 8 will take it from just inside the centre circle. Villa players lining up right and left. It's dead centre this, so be interesting to see which sort of angle Tielemans goes for here. He's floated it towards left of centre. Ramsey's peeled away at the back post. He keeps it in down by the dead ball line. Rolls it back to Digne. Scoops in a high looping cross. Pau Torres at the back post. Philogene turns. Pau Torres! He's poked it in! Aston Villa lead! Pau Torres at the Holt end! What a moment! Aston Villa's first home game in the Champions League for over 40 years, and just listen to what it means. The Brummies have gone absolutely mad, and it's Aston Villa with Prince William applauding in the stands, who lead Bayern by a goal to nil, and the roof really has come off Villa Park. And what an unlikely scorer, Pau Torres, first goal in nearly a year. Aston Villa 1, Bayern nil. VAR will check it.
Yeah, the reason they will check it is for the initial ball towards Ramsey. Is he offside when that free kick's originally played? But what I have to say is Philogene has an unbelievable touch in here, because when the ball's dropping, he doesn't go for the header. He thinks, I can take this, and he brings it down, tries to spin, and it breaks perfectly for Pau Torres. But they deserve that opportunity for what Philogene did, because he had the audacity to actually try and bring it down. But well, is there an offside in the build-up?
They're still celebrating, and I do wonder whether these celebrations will be cut short. VAR is checking the goal for a possible offside in the build-up, I think, as you say, Kev, against Ramsey, and the goal is going to be ruled out here. And such disappointment for Aston Villa and for Pau Torres. The referee, well, he signalled, didn't he there, Kev, that the check is complete, and it is a Bayern free kick, no goal. Still Aston Villa nil, Bayern nil.
Yeah, it's the right call, because when that's first played, I think Ramsey snuck beyond the last man, and that's why everything that then happens after that is rendered null and void. But what an incredibly confident touch from Philogene to actually lay on that chance for Pau Torres. It's been a really good spell for Villa. They were shaky at the start. They've really played their way into it.
Goal in Austria, Sturm Graz nil, Club Brugge 1. What a goal from Christos Solis. Ball kind of bobbling, left corner of the penalty area. He caught it beautifully with his instep, right-footed, looped over the keeper into the top corner. Sturm Graz nil, Club Brugge 1. Brugge looking to respond after losing to Dortmund, remember, on match day 1.
And so, what a great night it's already turning into. Match day 2 of UEFA Champions League for the new season. Harry Kane with his back to goal for Bayern. Smuggled away by Pau Torres, and now Morgan Rogers racing up the middle. Quick ball to Watkins, takes it in his stride. Left edge of the penalty area, Upamecano backing off. Watkins steers it across, cleared away. Onana stretching, shoots left-footed. Slightly off balance, and it's straight at Neuer. But the chance count is racking up here for Aston Villa, and Villa Park is getting louder and louder and louder in anticipation of what they hope will be the opening goal.
Yeah, Upamecano on a yellow card didn't want to engage really with Watkins, just wanting to stand off him, and that's always dangerous. And Watkins able to drive into the penalty area and cut it back. And Villa have really got Bayern on the back foot at the moment. They've gradually cranked the intensity up as the half has worn on, and this crowd is a lot to do with that.
Peter With scored Aston Villa's greatest goal at their greatest moment. A 1-0 win over Bayern in Rotterdam in the final in 1982. This is the first meeting since then, which almost feels hard to believe. Alphonso Davies racing away down the left-hand side. It's a good ball right across the middle of the penalty area, and Gnabry wasn't quite able to reach it from close range. Now Jacob Ramsey's gone down. Kevin, that could be a problem for Unai Emery. Still 0-0.
Yeah, because he's looked really sharp so far. He was obviously involved in the build-up to the goal that was rightly ruled out, and he does look as though he's just overstretched and tweaked something, and that is a concern because he's a very intelligent player. His movement's great, and it looks as though...
Is that Bailey getting ready already, I think?
Which is interesting because a lot of the Bayern players will have come up against Leon Bailey before. They'll know what he's all about, and they'll know how dangerous he can be. Obviously a very different type of player, much more of an orthodox winger, if you like, but he has pace, he has trickery, he can cause Bayern problems in a different way. I think Vincent Kompany will look at this and think, we started so well, but we've been knocked out of our rhythm, and the only way to get back into that is to keep playing the way they play, because if they adjust and ditch the high line, then that causes uncertainty. But Villa are going to get opportunities, there's no question.
Here's the enforced first half change. Leon Bailey, formerly of Leverkusen, for Jacob Ramsey. And Leon Bailey, who has been an Aston Villa regular so far this season, and indeed I think many would have expected him to start the game out on the right-hand side, the position that Philogene is operating. But Bailey, 27 minutes in, does come on. It's Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. Pau Torres will still have to wait for his first goal in nearly a year after it was rightly ruled out for an offside against Ramsey in the build-up. And so Bayern with Upamecano hammering it back to Neuer on the edge of his own penalty area. Oohs and ahs from the Aston Villa fans, as if they don't realise that the type of sweeper keeper that Manuel Neuer is. He's always stationed about 5 metres from the edge of his own box, isn't he?
We should know by now, shouldn't we, really? And it's really important that he is like that in this system, because there's a lot of grass behind the centre-backs, and he comes out and tries to squeeze up and tries to help them out.
Both sides looking for 2 wins from 2 to start the league phase of the Champions League campaign. A backwards header by Bailey, well gathered by Martinez inside his own penalty area. It will be really interesting, Kev, won't it, to see how many points you need to make the top 8 in the league phase, and obviously how many you'll need for playoff qualification as well. That, I guess, will become clearer maybe once we get to match days 5 and 6.
Well, I thought Villa showed on match day 1 that they do belong in this competition. They looked absolutely at the level required, and I think the way that they have competed so far against Bayern will give them such a huge boost.
Upamecano out of defence to the right-back position, and Lima infield to Pavlovic. Lima's quick ball up over the halfway line, and Michael Olise as a ray racing down the right-hand side. Kane is in the middle, and the shot from Gnabry is hammered wide from a tight angle. He raced into the box, and Serge Gnabry has got Harry Kane to his left, maybe a little disappointed that the ball wasn't squared, but you can understand Gnabry going for it, given his record in England and given his prowess in front of goal.
Talk about high lines. That Villa line was right up to halfway, but it was excellent play on the right-hand side between Pavlovic and Lima. That combination gave them some space. Lovely ball over the top. Harry Kane is screaming, Serge, 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 why didn't you play it across to me? Because the angle was getting narrower and narrower all the time. And Gnabry, as soon as he hit it, knew exactly what he'd done and apologised to Kane.
And so Martinez, the Villa goalkeeper, has not really had a serious save to make so far tonight. Little flick by Ollie Watkins. It spirals high up into the dark night sky. The floodlights on and quite chilly in Birmingham. Vincent Kompany's gone back to take a seat, one of those leather claret and blue seats in the dugouts. And as we head towards the half-an-hour mark, and despite a very entertaining game so far, it is still Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0.
Joe, Leipzig have just scored an absolute cracker from one end of the pitch to the other in the blink of an eye. They worked it on the counter-attack up to Openda. He went over halfway, clipped it up to his centre-forward partner, Benjamin Sesko, made a run into the area, one touch, and then he smacks it underneath the crossbar, on the ground, into the net. What a goal. Leipzig 1, Juventus 0 in Germany.
Goals going in everywhere across match day 2 so far. The great unpredictability of the very exciting new league phase, a brand new format for the new Champions League season, and the final will be at the end of May in Munich. And of course, Bayern will feel how appropriate would it be if they could reach the final this season. So close last year, of course, Kiev, a heartbreaking semi-final defeat to the eventual winners, Real Madrid.
Yeah, they competed so well in that semi-final, and it had been a tough season in the league for them, and they showed their quality, they showed how much they belong in this competition in that semi-final. But Real Madrid, as we know, are so good at coming through those tight situations.
Here is Alphonso Davies coming out with the ball in the left-back position. He's skipped away neatly from 2 in claret and blue. That just tells you everything you need to know about the ability and the poise of Alphonso Davies. Hard to believe he's only 23. Now Kimmich midway inside Villa territory. Clever chip ball right to the left where Kingsley Coman is waiting. Level with the edge of the penalty area. Couple of step overs. He's away from Konsa. Almost smuggles himself into the penalty area. Konsa does well to win it back, but then it's given away to Davies. Now in the corner of the penalty area, Pavlovic crosses in low. That's blocked at the near post by Anana. Kimmich, 30 metres from goal. Square ball, and Lima has to let it run across his body under pressure from Philogene. Aston Villa once again have everybody bar Watkins behind the ball, and they force Bayern in the end to turn it all the way back to goalkeeper Neuer.
But a better 4 or 5 minutes at the moment for Bayern, because they're getting on the ball, they're getting Kimmich involved. Davies, who's been quite quiet so far, starting to get involved. He's been one of the big winners since Kompany came in. He's been used virtually as a winger at times.
Come on now, number 11, and the scorer of the winning goal in the UEFA Champions League final in 2020. Now Gnabry with the red boots on, takes on Philogene, scampers infield and finds Elise. Little 1-2 with Kimmich in a very tight area. Elise corner of the penalty area, onto that favoured left foot. Back now to Kimmich again to dink it in. It's a brilliant ball. Coman got his head to it, sent it spiralling away from goal. Drops towards Davies on the edge of the D. Aston Villa smuggle it away quickly. Here comes Davies stepping in to win it back. Good football from Bayern. Now Kane, 10 metres from the edge of the penalty area. Square to Konrad Laimer. Further wide on the near side to right is Michael Elise. It's still goalless at Villa Park. Elise's left-footed cross charged down by Philogene, still 0-0.
I think what they're missing at the moment, Bayern, is just Jamal Musiala's ability to commit players to the tackle. Elise can do that, but he just hasn't been in areas yet where he can slalom his way through, and that's what this Bayern system needs, just to open up those spaces by committing men to the tackle.
Here come Bayern again now with Coman forward to Kane. Kane turns inside the penalty area, tries the left-footed cross, that's charged down. Davies picks up the loose ball inside the box, steers it to the edge of the penalty area, but eventually the flag is up for offside. That checkered yellow and orange flag up into the air, and eventually the referee Petrescu spots it, and that'll be an Aston Villa free kick.
Really good game so far. Lots of endeavour, lots of energy, lots of potential threat on both sides. What we're seeing with Bayern is they're committing to this 5-man forward line effectively. So you'll get, as I say, a player in each zone of the pitch. 2 out wide, 2 in those half spaces, 1 in the middle. It won't always be the same player. They rotate constantly. They want to drag defenders out of position, and they want to make midfielders look over their shoulder and see what's happening. So it's just trying to sow those seeds of confusion if they can.
Well, they have certainly taken quickly to Vincent Kompany's philosophy, as Upamecano steers the ball clear from the edge of his own penalty area. The crossfield pass is overhit towards Lima. Out of play it goes. Cheers from the Aston Villa fans. 11 minutes of normal time remaining in this first half, and it's still Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. 2 well-matched teams. Lucadinha, midway inside Bayern territory, shrugged aside by Elise. Heavy touch from Lima, half one back by Tielemans, but here come Bayern, all in black and grey tonight. Left to right with Kane. Kane with a lovely ball up the inside right channel. Chase gives Lima, 2 in the middle to aim at. Lima right edge of the penalty area, deflected cross into the chest of Martinez. What an exquisite layoff that was from Harry Kane, but in the end it comes to nothing.
Scores elsewhere, Liverpool 1, Bologna 0, but Bologna have been knocking on the door. They've hit the bar, they've tested Alisson. They're having a spell at Anfield after that early Alexis McAllister goal. It's still 0-0, Lille 0, Real Madrid 0. There's a tongue twister. They've hit the frame of the goal twice, Lille, in the first half. Andrew Lunev in goal, by the way, because there's no Thibaut Courtois. Benfica 1, Atletico 0, Leipzig 1, Juventus 0, Sturm Graz 0, Club Brugge 1, and goalless between Dinamo Zagreb and Monaco.
And goalless it remains in Birmingham, but not for want of trying, and intriguingly poised. A real tactical battle, I think, Kev, going on between Emery and company tonight.
Yeah, and Villa have been a lot more calm and measured in the last 15 minutes or so. They started shakily, were giving the ball away. They're starting to see chances now, and we've just seen Martinez try and send a raking ball a long, long way to try and get Watkins in. There's no problem with that, because any time you can isolate one of these two centre-backs against Ollie Watkins, that's a good thing for Aston Villa.
Aston Villa's player of the season for last year, Ollie Watkins, 27 goals he scored, 8 of those in European competition. Aston Villa, who went on to reach the semi-finals of the UEFA Europa Conference League, losing in the end to Olympiacos. 9 minutes of the first half remain, plus any additional time, and it's still Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0, and the ball is away to our right-hand side. Aston Villa goalkeeper Martinez, all in green with short sleeves, will play it forward to Tielemans on the edge of the penalty box. Gives it away to Kimmich, wrestled to the ground. Kimmich by Philogene. That's an obvious Bayern free kick right in front of the referee. Some of the delicate balls that Kimmich has played across the course of the night so far really have been a joy to watch, Kev.
Yeah, he's a terrific technical player. He's got that fire in him, but he's a really good technical player. He can cross, he can play those diagonals, he can float the ball over the top. He's got every tool in the toolbox, no doubt about it.
He will take this free kick midway inside Villa territory, right of centre. Harry Kane is lurking. Oh, Kimmich has gone for goal from range, trying to catch out Martinez, but Martinez might have been expecting it. Either way, he was right behind it and able to gather. It was an attempt at real ingenuity from Kimmich. Everybody was expecting the cross. You've seen it done before, haven't you, Kev?
Well, I've seen him do it and score. He actually did it on the opening night of the season a couple of seasons ago against Eintracht Frankfurt. It was really early on as well. Looked as though he was going to cross it, went for the near post and scored.
So he has that in his locker, that's for sure. Kimmich in the right back position now. A lot of versatility in this Bayern team tonight. Kimmich and Lima can interchange, and so can so many of the forward players. Bayern have started to see more and more of the possession again. Aston Villa fans still singing Aston Villa songs, though. Forward by Upamecano, almost poked up the middle to Coman. Left-hand edge of the penalty area now. Kane waiting in the middle. Coman takes on Konsa, backpedaling. Now Elise, first-time left-footed shot, steered away by Pau Torres. I think it was going wide anyway. Hit rather tamely by Elise with the inside of his left foot. But Bayern have possession again. Min-Jae Kim, squared to Elise, number 17, walking pace now. Squared to Pavlovic. Aston Villa with a line, 2 banks of 4. Right in front of goalkeeper Martinez. In fact, even Watkins is stepping back into the defensive third of the field now. Lima lets the ball run across his body as Bayern try to find the key to the door in this first half. Elise scampers away from Tielemans and curls a shot, which is brilliantly saved by Martinez. Top hand away to his right-hand side to turn it over the bar for a corner.
It's a wonderful move, because what they do is they just keep on playing and keep on opening up spaces. And then Elise recognises, OK, this is my avenue, and he comes inside, nice little drop of the shoulder. He's just trying to curl that for the top corner, doesn't quite find it, and that allows Martinez to get across and flick the ball over the bar. Excellent save.
Michael Elise's signature move. Joshua Kimmich will take the corner for Bayern, and it's in towards goal, gathered by Martinez, almost a half a metre or so from his goal line. The goalkeeper always dominant in that sort of area. But that effort from Elise, who scored a brace on match day 1, his first goals in the UEFA Champions League. Certainly the best effort that the German side have fashioned so far. Rodgers up the middle for Aston Villa at the other end. Pokes it onto Tielemans. Wide on the right-hand side now is Leon Bailey. Onto his left foot, corner of the penalty area. And he's blocked off by Coman. He was sandwiched in between 2 players in black and grey. And here come Bayern with Davies finding Coman on the halfway line. Back to Harry Kane. They've got nobody in Aston Villa territory at the moment in the 40th minute. Kimmich now into the centre circle at no great pace. Kane collects the ball 35 metres out, scoops it towards the right. Gnabry can't reach it, cleared away by Luca Digne. Amadou Onana there to win it back for Aston Villa, and a lovely improvised touch by Bailey to get it back into his path. Now Bailey gets the return pass from Onana over the halfway line, midway into Bayern territory. All left foot here, Bailey. Square ball behind Onana, has to check back, plays it back to the halfway line where Ezri Konsa is waiting, and Aston Villa, attacking the whole end in the first half in their claret and blue shirts, have possession back again. Konsa, angled ball to the right, and Bailey. Reverse pass up the middle towards Watkins, and he's blocked off by Upamecano. Bayern on the counter now with Kane. Kane holds up possession deftly, as you'd expect the number 9. Such gravitas about Harry Kane, whether in club or international football. Aston Villa have won it back, and almost quite a cagey feel to the game at the moment, Ken.
Yeah, and I think what Villa have done really well, actually, in bringing the ball out from the back at times, is that Bayern love to swarm teams, but they haven't been able to do that in the way that they have in the Bundesliga so far. I think they respect Villa's ability to play through that press, so they're just being a little bit more cautious with it than they normally would be.
Good noise from the travelling supporters from Germany, here in their thousands, as Diego Carlos slices a clearance high upfield, the Brazilian for Aston Villa. It drops down towards the halfway line, header away by Min-Jae Kim. Bayern have possession back, and they think they've got a throw midway inside opposition territory. In fact, it's going to go Ezri Konsa and Aston Villa's way. A regular under Unai Emery, Ezri Konsa, just like Ollie Watkins. They spent the early parts of their career in the lower leagues of English football, and here they are now in a position where they are Aston Villa, and certainly in Watkins' case, England regulars. Onana out to the right back position, and Konsa again. 3 minutes plus added time remaining in the first half. You're listening to UEFA Champions League Matchday Live. We're on the Champions League at UEFA.com, and in North America on Sirius XM FC. Philogene away down the left-hand side, just his second ever start in an Aston Villa shirt, Jadon Philogene. Reverse ball infield, almost reaches the onrushing Digne, and then Philogene is tackled by Lima, and Bayern come away with possession. Kane in a very deep spot, midway inside his own half. He's away from both Bailey and Onana. Kane over the halfway line, waits for the run ahead of him from Davis, instead checks back with a crossfield ball that is intercepted. Aston Villa have possession now with Rodgers, who is fouled by Kane, and Aston Villa have a free kick.
It was really interesting, that, because Alphonso Davies was holding his run, waiting for Kane to play the ball, and Kane never quite released it. Kane clearly thought that he could use him as a decoy and hoped something would happen the other way, but in the end, he lost it and just brings Rodgers down. It was a strange passenger play, that. There's been a lot of talk in Germany about Harry Kane's role on Saturday in that 1-1 draw with Bayer Leverkusen. He gave the same 100% performance he always does, but he didn't have a shot in the game, and that was because Bayern couldn't quite find him in areas where he could do damage, and so far it's been the case again tonight.
10 goals so far this season for Harry Kane. Here is Pau Torres, and you're right, he hasn't had a sight at goal at all, Kev, so far. Bayern's number 9. 90 seconds remain in normal time in the first half. Long ball hoisted downfield by Martinez. Dominant header in the air from Alphonso Davies in front of Bailey. Now Coman, about 10 metres shy of the halfway line, blocked off by the tall figure of Konsa, who goes down, and that's a free kick. And Unai Emery seems to punch the air with delight. These European nights, you really get the sense, don't they, Kev, that they matter to him maybe more than any other.
Oh, 100%. And I think the thing he wants to see above anything in this kind of game, this kind of occasion, is intensity from his team. And he's absolutely seen that so far. They've stuck to the game plan. They've tried to exploit that high line whenever possible. They've tried to be a bit more secure in possession, and they've done that more and more as the game's worn on.
Michael Olise has darted away from Tielemans. He's down the middle. He's threaded it forward to Gnabry, right edge of the penalty area. Gnabry's back heel. Lima running onto it. Lima's through the middle. Good save by Martinez at his feet. From very close range, Martinez spread himself bravely, and Lima from the angle denied by the goalkeeper stays 0-0.
Yeah, it was great goalkeeping. It all starts with Bayern winning possession in their own half, and then they spring the counter-attack. And Lima was never quite in control of that. He was having to hurdle the original challenge, and he just couldn't get the shot away. It was an excellent sprawling save by Martinez.
Well, it's a busy night of football in the UEFA Champions League, and half-time scores starting to roll in. Rob will keep you up to date with all of those in just a few moments, and we are into added time here at Villa Park at the end of the first half. 2 minutes of added time. I think that's Pavlovic. No, it's Min-Jae Kim who has gone down. And just on the edge of his own penalty area, the referee, Radu Petrescu, comes across to stop the game, and Min-Jae Kim is now back on his feet. It was a brave challenge in front of Philogene.
Well, he gets up above Philogene, and Philogene doesn't jump. And it's always a difficult situation, that, because then you effectively are just spinning over somebody's back, and that's basically what happened. He landed awkwardly.
Kimmich in a real battle with Watkins. He's done superbly there. Watkins looked the favourite to win it back. Kimmich nearly loses it for a second time. It's hacked away by Upamecano. Kimmich showed remarkable strength there in front of Watkins, Kev, because Watkins, to all intents and purposes, should have been away. Kimmich eventually got back in front of him, and Bayern have a throw in their right back position halfway through the 2 added minutes. Aston Villa 0, Bayern.
Sorry, gents, we have a penalty in France for Lille against Real Madrid tonight. Andriy Lunin into the team because there's no Thibaut Courtois. Handball by Eduardo Camavinga after a free kick from Lille hit his left hand. So Jonathan David, who's already hit the frame of the goal tonight, faces Lunin, who was so key in last season's run to the UEFA Champions League final and ultimately that success at Wembley. David being made to wait. The referee repositioning the ball on the spot. The tension in Lille, you can feel it as David wipes his brow, takes a big deep breath in all red tonight and gets ready to take the penalty. Jonathan David for Lille. Second minute of added time at the end of the first half to take the lead against Real Madrid. Some finish from Jonathan David. Top corner, absolutely perfect. And the defending champions trail. Lille 1, Real Madrid 0.
And still goalless here at Villa Park. And Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0 is the half-time score. Well, what an enthralling first half in England's second city. Aston Villa, after a nervy... From right to left in the second half towards the towering Holt end. One of the great recognisable stands of English football, holds around 15,000. Bayern win possession back with right full-back Lima, and he'll roll the pass to Neuer, who clears high downfield. Aston Villa unchanged for the second half. Martinez in goal, Konsa on the ball now, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres and Digne the back four, Onana and Tielemans, Philogene, Rodgers and Bailey in support of Watkins. Bayern, Neuer in goal, Lima, Upamecano, Min-Jae Kim and Davies, Kimmich and Pavlovic, Elise, the newly arrived Musiala and Gnabry in support of Harry Kane. I'll give you the two substitutes benches as well. For Villa, the two goalkeepers, Gauci and Zic. Cash, Barkley, Duran, who's been spectacular off the bench this season, Buendia, Nedjelkovic, Madsen, Bogard, Bailey, Swinkles and Young. And for Bayern, Peretz and Ulreich, Goretzka, Zane, Dyer, Polinia, Guerrero, Müller, Tell. So a lot of attacking talent maybe still to come into the game. It's 0-0 and it's fascinatingly poised. Not a game of a number of clear-cut chances so far. Aston Villa with that disallowed goal in the first half, and Elise going closest to beating Emi Martinez. Here's Pau Torres in the centre circle. Both sides looking for back-to-back wins to start the Champions League campaign. Philogene wins possession back with a lunging, sliding challenge that was well-timed. And on the far side of the field, he skips beyond Lima. Philogene into the penalty area now. Step-overs, crosses, blocked by Min-Jae Kim, and it's turned inadvertently behind by Lima for a corner. A good start to the second half for Aston Villa, 0-0.
Said at half-time, Joe, I've loved his performance so far. The bravery, the audacity. Doesn't care that he's up against one of the, members of the royal family in the UEFA Champions League. He's been absolutely sensational so far.
Aston Villa corner in front of the North Stand. Onana, Konsa, Diego Carlos, Pau Torres among the potential aerial targets for the ball into the penalty area. Yuri Tielemans, one arm up into the air. Here's the delivery, right-footed and in-swinging. Watkins goes for it, headed away. And then the clearance by Davies from right in front of goal. And now Bayern can counter. Poked on by Elise towards Musiala, beaten to it by the sliding challenge of Luca Digne. Tielemans wide left, the far side. Good tackle by Lima in the Bayern right back position. Again, quite congested as the ball goes back to Neuer. His clearance isn't very far. Upamecano stretches to beat Tielemans to the ball on the edge of the penalty area, and the offside flag was up anyway. It's a free kick to Bayern, and Kev, what I think is one of the great things about this game, I just cannot call it. It could go either way.
Absolutely it could, because Villa are playing with real intensity without the ball. They're organised, but they're starting to commit men forwards as well and really test Bayern out. But Bayern have so much quality. They have all of those rotations to try and open up spaces. And now in Jamal Musiala, for me, they have one of the best young players on the planet. And he's got the ability to ghost past people, open up spaces and create goals.
3 so far this season that he's scored, Musiala. And the Golden Boot winner, the joint Golden Boot winner at Euro 2024 with Germany. Pau Torres with a sweeping ball forward towards the halfway line. Watkins holds it up well in front of Upamecano, who sticks out a leg. Thought he'd won the ball. Free kick given, though, by the referee, who I think did just about get that right. Radu Petrescu. It was a lunge from Upamecano, and indeed replays in the commentary position confirming that the referee did make the right decision. On a yellow card, remember, Upamecano. High ball for Aston Villa downfield. Headed infield by Digne, but he can't find Philogene with the bright pink boots on. And Bayern have possession now with Elise. All left foot on the right-hand side. Infield ball to Kimmich, who always seems to have a couple of seconds more time on the ball than just about anybody else. And you almost never see him give possession away.
He's a brilliant player. He's always got such a picture of what's around him. And, you know, when he was younger, people said he's going to be too short to be a footballer, he's not going to be strong enough, and he just went, I'll show you. I mean, he is tenacious, but he has that technical quality, and he just understands the game so well, and that's why Kompany has made him the centrepiece, really, of their build-up.
Yes, he could well turn out potentially to be a good coach one day, I wonder too. Here is Gnabry, driving forward towards the corner of the penalty area. Davies on the underlap, cuts it back across towards Gnabry, and then sliding in to turn it high over the bar for a corner was Ezri Konsa. 5.5 minutes into the second half on UEFA.com and the Champions League app. It's UEFA Champions League Matchday Live, and it's still Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0.
It's credit to Villa that that's the first time we've really seen Davies in a really dangerous position.
The corner's been taken short, corner of the penalty area, swept in by Musiala, header away by Watkins, doing his defensive duty this time. Elise is going to let the ball trickle out of play for a throw on the far side, the right. Such a great deal of attacking quality among both sides tonight. Bayern with Pavlovic, good crossfield ball to the left in Gnabry. That's an excellent cross. Diving header away by Diego Carlos. Drops down towards Gnabry, but he's beaten to it by Rodgers, who gets a touch on it to deflect it away. Bayern have possession back on the halfway line, and Upamecano stands over the ball. Now Kimmich, right of centre, crossfield again, right to left. Again they look for Gnabry. He's brought it down on the corner of the penalty area. 0-0 the score. Gnabry infield, good run by Pavlovic, blocked off by Diego Carlos. A robust, firm and fair challenge from inside the box. Rodgers then clears upfield. He can't find Watkins, and Bayern have possession again.
But again, I don't want to labour the point, but Villa are just leaving Watkins one-on-one with Upamecano all the time. Upamecano on a yellow card. Bayern are taking a big risk.
Here is Davies, 10 metres from the corner of the penalty area, into a central position now, where Pavlovic, tall and slender, stands. Squared to Upamecano, everybody inside the Aston Villa half, bar Ollie Watkins and the goalkeeper Neuer. Now Pavlovic, inside left channel, suddenly goes up through the gears, reaches the dead ball line, the cross deflects behind off Konsa again. That'll be another Bayern corner.
What we've seen actually in the last few minutes, and actually towards the end of the first half as well, Pavlovic has taken this by the scruff of the neck a little bit, and he said, you know what, I'm going to start charging forward now, because I know Kimmich's behind me, I know I can do that and people will fill in. Scored a brilliant goal on Saturday, by the way, against Bayer Leverkusen. He's only 20, he is a real rising star, and importantly for Bayern, he's one of their own. He came through their youth system.
A quick update, penalty in Lisbon. Benfica have got a spot kick. They lead Atletico by 1-0. A VAR check confirming it will bring you the penalty in a minute, Joe.
OK, still 0-0 at Villa Park. Diego Carlos briefly and not receiving treatment for the physios, but the referee just checking on his condition. The big centre-half is on his feet, and the referee's put his finger to his ear because there is a Bayern appeal for a potential penalty. I don't think it's going to be given. Rob.
So Benfica with the penalty, and it's an old nemesis of Atletico who stands over the ball now. Angel Di Maria. Remember that 2014 final in that stadium in Lisbon. And it's Angel Di Maria to score and make it 2-0 for Benfica. Atletico in trouble now in Lisbon. Jan Oblak sent the wrong way. Benfica 2, Atletico 0.
And Atletico will need a fight-back late drama in the Madrid derby at the weekend. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. A Bayern corner on the near side. Kimmich takes it right-footed into the near post, and it's actually hit the side netting and gone behind for a goal kick.
Another goal. It's Leipzig 1, Juventus 1. Thiago Motta punching the air on the touchline, the Bianconeri head coach, because Dusan Vlahovic has just scored a brilliant goal. A cross whipped in low to the near post, and he flicks it with a volley beyond the keeper. Scored 2 at the weekend. Looks back in the groove. 1-1 in East Germany.
Well, isn't this the UEFA Champions League at its very best tonight? Still waiting for a goal at Villa Park, but not for lack of intrigue or entertainment, and it's quite tense among the Aston Villa supporters now. 40,000 or so, the whole end on its feet away to the left-hand side. Villa with possession at the feet of Pau Torres. That's an excellent ball and well controlled by Luca Digne. Takes it in his stride, the French fullback, as he charges into Bayern territory. Philogene flicks the ball cleverly away from Lima, goes down, but is unable to keep the ball, and Bayern clear long up towards Kane on the halfway line. Beaten in the air by Diego Carlos, who seems to be moving okay after that earlier challenge. Bayern have possession back now with Gnabry. He's held up the play at walking pace on the halfway line. Back he goes to Min-Jae Kim. Here's Kev Hatcher.
Yeah, there was a chance to break there for Kane, and he turned it down. He just played the ball short. I'm not sure whether he maybe just didn't see it, but there was an opportunity to try and get in behind Villa. And we haven't really seen that from Bayern that much. We haven't seen those lightning-fast transitional moments, those counter-attacks.
Not seen much in the game from an attacking perspective of Kane so far. He's not found himself quite yet in one of those goal-scoring positions. Bayern, who have only lost one of their last 10 UEFA Champions League meetings with English sides. Remember, Bayern defeated Arsenal on their run to the semi-finals of this competition last season. 10.5 minutes gone in the second half, and it remains 0-0. Bayern continuing to dominate possession and territory. Right to left in the second half, Bayern. Here is Upamecano attacking the Holt end, which is the traditional home end at Villa Park. Kimmich, right of centre, angles the ball further wide to the far side, and Lima back now to Elise. Very congested area, clout and blue shirts all in front of Bayern. Can they play their way through? Pavlovic whips the ball wide to the left, and Gnabry controls corner of the penalty area. Davis underlap, crosses. Oh, and an audacious effort by Elise. The follow-up is blocked as well. Elise swung at it left-footed on the volley with the first effort. That was blocked, as was his right-footed second effort at goal.
Yeah, it was awkward for him. He couldn't quite get the venom on either shot. But again, what that comes from, this change with Musiala, what it's allowed Gnabry to do is move to the left, and that's where he's been doing damage this season. And he's had a really good link-up with Alphonso Davies.
Elise floats the ball high to the left. Gnabry hits the cross first time on the volley, left-footed to the back post, headed away by Digne. The loose ball retrieved by Rodgers, who spins away from Kimmich, and now suddenly motors up towards halfway. To his right is Leon Bailey. Bailey now with Davies coming towards him in a one-on-one. Bailey tries to check infield, and he suddenly quickly blocks off by Gnabry. What excellent defending that was from Alphonso Davies, where many fullbacks would have backed off. He stood strong, and Bailey's foray forward came to nothing.
Yeah, he's been one of the players that's really improved since Vincent Kompany came in. And what you have is you have that ability now to have Gnabry move out to the left touchline, and Davies making those underlapping runs I was talking about in the first half, because what that does is it just creates uncertainty for Konsa on that side. Do I go with Davies? Do I stay where I am? That's what Bayern are trying to do in this system.
And here's Michael Elise steering the ball to the right, and Lima backwards now to Kimmich, and these are nervous times for Aston Villa as we tick towards the hour mark. Bayern looking a little menacing now on the attack in the final third of the pitch, but they go back to a central position, and Pavlovic, who whips a high ball up the left. Gnabry can't quite keep it in play under pressure from Ezri Konsa, and it's still goalless at Villa Park.
Let's recap the scores elsewhere. Liverpool 1, Bologna 0. Liverpool have just brought on Diogo Jota for Darwin Nunez. Leipzig 1, Juventus 1 after the second half equaliser from Vlahovic. Angel Di Maria has just missed a great chance for 3-0, having scored for 2 from the penalty spot. Benfica 2, Atletico 0. Still Dinamo Zagreb 1, Monaco 0. Sturm Graz 0, Club Brugge 1. Lille 1, Real Madrid 0. But Real Madrid have just thrown on Mbappe and Modric, so the game's slightly changed there in France. Double change on the way here for Aston Villa, Joe Shannon.
Absolutely. Here come Ross Barkley and Ian Martson. And off goes Onana, who seemed to be nursing some sort of physical complaint a few moments ago, Kev, and I suppose in Ross Barkley, a former UEFA Europa League winner in his time at Chelsea, they certainly have a very experienced replacement to come on.
Yeah, and Barkley's had a bit of a revival, was excellent, I thought, for Luton Town last season. And he's somebody that will keep the ball, but he'll drive as well. And that's what you want against this Bayern team. You want somebody who's going to be able to charge through those lines of pressure. I just wonder who the second change is, because...
I think the substitute is being substituted.
Yeah, Leon Bailey coming rather ruefully to the touchline. He hasn't really made much of an impact so far, so whether that's a physical thing or a tactical thing, but Martson coming on is really interesting because, of course, you know, he knows all about Bayern. He was playing for Borussia Dortmund last season, and he's somebody that can really drive from those wide areas.
So on comes Ian Martson in place of Bailey, who played about 45 minutes over the course of the game, having replaced the injured Ramsey in the first half. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0. It remains on UEFA Champions League line. Barkley takes up his position, square of Tielemans in the middle of the Aston Villa midfield. And Aston Villa now with Martinez, the goalkeeper, all in green, away to the left-hand side. Martinez looks up from the edge of the penalty area and will drive the ball high and long down the middle. Too much on that for Watkins, and it's through to the goalkeeper, Manuel Neuer.
Yes, so Philigine's come out to this right-hand side, Joe. They've put Martson ahead of Digne. So that's interesting. So I wonder if that's just to pin back Michael Elise on that side and give him something to really think about.
4 points from 2 in the league phase as things stand. Bayern would be up to 6th in the UEFA Champions League table, and Aston Villa are just outside the top 8 to automatically qualify for the knockout stages. Gnabry near side the left, down by the corner flag, and Konsa backpedaling a little here. Gnabry surges into the box, and a low shot is gathered by Martinez at his near post.
It's been the biggest feature, I think, of this quarter and hour since half-time. Moving Serge Gnabry to the left, it allows him to come in on his favoured right foot. He's looked much more comfortable since moving there. He's causing Konsa a problem. It's interesting that the changes Villa made actually fixed the left-hand side, but not the side that Gnabry's on.
Here is Rodgers, halfway line. Just over an hour gone, and it's still goalless. Rodgers has been penalised here. Referee Radu Petrescu of Romania had spotted a foul. Aston Villa, who have a Premier League game here against Manchester United on Sunday. That tells you everything about how excited they are for the Champions League campaign, that really the focus on the Manchester United match has barely registered so far. Little flick down the middle by Barkley, who gets the return ball. Barkley in a centre position, pokes it up the middle towards Watkins. It's well intercepted by Lima inside the penalty area. Only half away though. Watkins on the edge of the box again, sees his pass blocked off by Kimmich, sends it back to Manuel Neuer, and Neuer will clear high downfield. There's that Villa Park roar again. A little bit of momentum back for Aston Villa, but still 0-0.
Yeah, Bayern are trying to just keep that press up, but I've not seen them do this in any other game this season, Joe. They do respect Villa as they bring the ball out from the back. They're not pressing with that intensity at the moment.
Martinez has the ball back, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. Quite a cagey feel to the game at the moment. Now Tielemans, left of centre. Midway inside his own half the field, forward to Watkins, back to Rodgers, good feet by Rodgers, eludes Lima, down the middle he goes now to Martsen. Martsen left edge of the penalty area, hammers it high over the top. Maybe a cross into the box towards Watkins would have been a better option. Martsen, who of course has experience of playing in last season's Champions League final when he was on loan at Dortmund from Chelsea. Maybe then might have thought better, but given his left foot, he can certainly hit them. Maybe it was worth a go.
He had two options there and he decided not to go for the cross, and I think those Villa teammates were rather disappointed. It's been a red card, by the way, in the game between RB Leipzig and Juventus. The Juventus keeper, Michele Di Gregorio, sent off. He came out to the edge of the area to meet Lois Openda and handled outside the box. The referee had a look at the footage and has sent him off. So Mattia Perin coming on as the goalkeeper for Juventus, but they've had to take a player off. Juventus down to 10 men, that game level at 1-1. It's Kenan Yildiz, the Turkish player, who has had to come off.
Musiala into the penalty area, left-footed shot blocked by Pau Torres after a neat 1-2 with Harry Kane. The quick dancing feet from Musiala. Pau Torres gets a good block in, and it's a corner to Bayern, 0-0.
That's what he's all about, Musiala. Those quick changes of pace. Little 1-2 with Kane. So difficult to control when he's in those spaces because he's a tall man. He has the kind of centre of gravity you'd expect from a much shorter guy, but he can slalom his way through.
A corner to Bayern in front of the whole 10. Kimmich right-footed and out swinging, and it's headed up into the air and away from danger by Konsa. Further flick clear by Philogene. The ball drops to Min-Jae Kim. He steered it wide to the near side, and Kimmich reverse ball tries to knock it up the inside left channel, and Philogene stretching to intercept, knocks it out of play for a Bayern throw. We are 20 minutes into the second half. Kimmich with a deep, high diagonal ball to the back post. Gnabry teases it back to Elise. 25 metres out. Tries to nutmeg Tielemans. Keeps possession. Elise, lovely quick feet to skip away from two in claret and blue. He's on the edge of the penalty area. This time he's blocked off by Konsa. So elegant, Elise, like he's gliding across the pitch. Made that look easy. In the end, though, just enough Aston Villa players back behind the ball to deny.
Yeah, Villa trying to not hang on here, but they're trying to just stay in the game. Bayern have upped the intensity, started to create some pockets of space, and it's about Villa just sticking with their shape, sticking to the game plan that Unai Emery has laid out for them. But now another test coming off the Bayern bench, Joe. It doesn't seem fair, does it really, sometimes?
Leroy Sané about to come on for Bayern. And actually, if Aston Villa were to hold Bayern to no goals, it would be only the second clean sheet they've kept this season. Watkins has slid in, and the yellow card out of the pocket of the referee here for Serge Gnabry in what was a tussle and a 50-50 challenge, and Gnabry didn't get near the ball right in front of the referee, and that is a yellow card.
Yeah, he kind of nutmegged himself, which is a strange thing to do. He went in for the challenge and the ball went between his legs and he took the man out. It's Elise who's going to come off, and that's a natural change because Sané is always at his most dangerous, I think, when he plays on that right-hand side and he can cut in on his left foot.
Sané, who has a great scoring record in European competitions, 16 goals in 39 appearances. We're closing in on the final quarter of the match here at Villa Park. The second game of the new league phase. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0, so both teams would have 4 points from their first two matches if it were to stay like this. Now then, long Aston Villa will go from this free kick, surely. Tielemans and Digne standing over it. Hoisted into the penalty area by Digne towards Konsa, and then a very confident back header from Kimmich on the edge of his own box, facing his own goal. Lots of traffic in front of him, Kev, and the awareness and the calmness to nod it back to Neuer. And now here come Bayern on the counter. Musiala's touch back to Sané. First touch is for him, and a lovely ball through the middle to Gnabry. Couldn't quite reach it, beaten to it by Digne. Oh, what an attempted pass to thread that through from Sané. The flag was up anyway, and for all of Aston Villa's counter-attacking approach, it nearly created an opportunity for Bayern there.
I think it was Musiala who was originally offside maybe, but it was another lovely move, and Sané, who's only just come on, really nice idea to just try and squeeze that through for Gnabry. Bayern, I think, in the last few minutes have started to look really dangerous.
And the Aston Villa supporters find their collective voice once again as the ball is cleared high downfield and flicked up into the air by Ollie Watkins towards Martsen in the left wing position. Keeps it in play. No, he doesn't. under the challenge of Lima. Thought he'd flicked it back into play. He's got his socks rolled all the way down his shins almost here. Ian Martin, as Aston Villa prepare to make another substitution. 22.5 minutes of normal time to play, and still we're yet to see the deadlock broken. Musiala's back pass to Neuer, who steers the ball away right-footed, a little hurried almost by his standards, Neuer, but still picks out a teammate. Given away by Gnabry. Watkins back to goal, 30 metres out. Left of centre, can't find Martin, a little slow on the uptake. Lima was there to whip it off his toes before he could reach it.
Penalty in Leipzig to RB Leipzig. Douglas Luiz just on as a substitute after the red card, handled the ball from the subsequent free kick, and Šeško has buried it. 2 for him tonight, 2 for RB Leipzig. And against the 10 men of Juventus, the Bundesliga side now lead by 2 goals to 1.
So many stories across match day 2 in the Champions League, and here come Bayern with Leroy Sané into the penalty area. Good defending by Pau Torres coming across to nick it away from him. Sané, pace, strength and power in front of the challenge of Luca Digne, and he very nearly got the shot away, Kev Hatchard.
He's in the mood, Sané, no doubt about that. And Torres, as you say, did really, really well. Bayern are looking more and more dangerous. They're going for it. Not that Villa aren't, but I think Villa just trying to keep the ball a bit better. That's what they want Tielemans and Barkley to do, just be a bit more secure in possession.
Can Villa become the first team this season to stop Bayern from scoring? Kane has gone down and won a free kick. 6 or 7 metres into opposition territory, and now here comes John Duran. Well, this is an interesting substitution. Duran for Watkins, and Duran this season, of his 5 goals, 4 of them have come as a substitute, and all 4 of those goals off the bench have helped Villa win matches this season. So he really is a player in amazing goal-scoring form, given that he isn't starting many games.
And it's the same page of the playbook, because what they'll do is they'll just say to Duran, you sit on Upamecano, we'll try and get you in behind. That's what they did with Watkins. I imagine that's exactly what they'll do with Duran.
So Watkins leaves the field with 20 minutes to go. Rodgers stays on. Duran, the number 9, 20 years of age, the Colombian. So much potential. He was actually strongly linked with a move away from Aston Villa over the summer. Chelsea and in particular West Ham were linked, but he's remained in the second city of England, and now he comes on to play in the Champions League at home here against Bayern with the score 0-0, 20 minutes to go. Musiala now scampering away and drawing a foul out of Yuri Tielemans.
I think he's made a big difference, Joe Musiala, since coming on, because he's got that elusive running style. He's been picking up contact, he's been opening up spaces, he's been getting other players around him into the game.
Joshua Kimmich, right of centre, midway inside the Aston Villa half. He looks up, Villa with all 11 back behind the ball once again. Leroy Sané, right-hand side, all left foot, back to Kimmich, back to Sané, led with the edge of the penalty area. Kane has drifted across to the wing position here rather than lurking inside the box, and Bayern go back to the centre circle at Upamecano. Min-Jae Kim to the near side in Gnabry, all the way back to Neuer once more. You would think on the face of it that Aston Villa would be the happier of the two sides if it were to end 0-0, Ken.
Yeah, I think so. They started brilliantly in Switzerland against young boys, got a clean sheet, got 3 goals, got 3 points. They're coming up against one of the very best teams in Europe. If they could come out of this with a draw, that makes for an excellent start to the league phase.
Aston Villa, one of 6 European champions from England. 1982 against Bayern in Rotterdam, the year they won the Champions League. Overhit pass for once from Kimmich, and that's going to drift out of play. Sané was the target. Thumbs up from the number 10, but it is a goal kick to Aston Villa. And well, you have to say, Unai Emery's team have done an exceptional job, I think, in terms of just protecting the goalkeeper and reducing the number of efforts on target.
It's been a very Emery performance in Europe. Discipline, shape. He's thought about how can I negate the Bayern rotations. They've put the effort in, they've had the intensity. That double pivot in the middle of his formation is always so important. You know, so much experience. You've got Barkley there, you've got Tielemans there. You had Onana's athleticism before that. So they've done a really, really good job of just making it tough for Bayern to play through the middle of them. I'm a little bit surprised Bayern haven't tried to create those one-on-ones in wide areas a bit more.
Good flick, Duran down the left-hand side for Aston Villa, and Philogene has escaped Alphonso Davies. There was a deflection, a double deflection on that. A 50-50 challenge, and Davies celebrates the goal kick being awarded like he's scored a goal. Defending means a heck of a lot to him. And the two number 19s going head-to-head out on the Villa left, and goal kick the decision of the referee.
3 goals to tell you about on Matchday Live tonight. First of all, Dinamo Zagreb 2-0 up on Monaco. Brilliant goal from Martin Baturina. He was waiting for players to arrive in the build-up, but he thought, you know, I'm just going to have a shot myself here from 20 metres out. Arrowed it into the corner. Dinamo Zagreb 2, Monaco 0. Liverpool lead Bologna by 2-0. Mo Salah with some strike, picked up the ball, right side of the penalty area. You know the drill, cuts inside, left foot rocket, bow and arrow celebration. Liverpool 2, Bologna 0. And Dusan Vlahovic has just scored a stunner. His second of the night. It's Leipzig 2, 10-man Juventus 2.
And still we wait for a goal at Villa Park. 16.5 minutes plus added time to go. You are listening to UEFA Champions League Matchday live on UEFA.com, on the Champions League app, and hello to our listeners in North America on Sirius XM FC. Min-Jae Kim, halfway line, angled ball to the left, the near side, and Gnabry back to Min-Jae Kim once more in his second season at Bayern, the former Serie A best defender of the season. Musiala's feet aren't quick enough even for him this time, and Barkley's won it back for Aston Villa, though his touch is heavy. Harry Kane up the middle, 25 metres out. Kane wide to Gnabry, 2 in the middle. Gnabry now against Konsa, left-footed cross deflected behind. Konsa's done terrifically well in that battle. It's a corner.
He really hung in there, Konsa, there, and he stood up well. But I think Kompany will love that from Musiala, because, as you said, he lost the ball. First thing he does, goes back and wins it. That's what Kompany wants from his players. He wants that intensity, wants that desire to go and win the ball back.
And that mirrors his character, doesn't it, as a player when he was at most notably Manchester City, and ever since as a head coach at Anderlecht and Burnley in England. Kimmich with the short corner, edge of the box is Musiala, opens up for him, trying to dart away from Tielemans. There's no way through. Aston Villa look to break. Tielemans has gone down, but he's conceded possession to Kimmich. Upamecano sweeping ball, right to left. Musiala, left corner of the area, away from Barkley. Infield to Kane. Kane chips it wide right. Gnabry flicks the ball up into the air. Header away by Pau Torres, and Villa are having to summon up all of their defensive concentration to keep the score at 0-0. And it is easily Villa's most disciplined defensive performance of the season so far.
It's interesting that Palhinha is going to come on, I suspect, for Pavlovic. I think we've seen Pavlovic tire a little bit in the last few minutes. He put a lot of energy into the game against Leverkusen at the weekend. Palhinha, a more defensively minded player, of course, somebody who's very much a tackling machine and who knows the Premier League well. But I think Pavlovic has had some really nice spells in the game, some nice touches, lovely passes, but I can understand why they would want more energy in there now.
Well, it's a credit to the younger man that he's keeping somebody like Palhinha out of the starting 11. Such a dependable performer for Portugal on the international stage, and I suppose the only surprise for Bayern fans was that it took him so long to arrive at the club, because maybe he could have moved even a year earlier from Fulham. In the end, he has now become a Bayern player. Aston Villa 0, Bayern 0, 14 minutes to go. Kane caught in possession on the halfway line. Barkley, 25 metres out. Now Kane tracks back impressively to whip it off the toes of Ross Barkley. Alphonso Davies fouled by Konsa. That'll be a free kick to Bayern in the left-back position.
Benfica will surely beat Atletico tonight. They now lead by 3-0. Alexander Barr meeting a delivery to the back post on the right side to turn it in. Atletico, who got that late draw, of course, against Real Madrid, conceding again, this from a corner. Conor Gallagher lost his man. Barr turns it in. Benfica 3, Atletico 0.
And here is Kim Min-jae, and Min-jae Kim for Bayern on the halfway line. Still 0-0, you haven't missed anything here. Bayern continue to keep possession, playing from right to left. At the moment, they look arguably slightly the more likely to score the winning goal, but of course, you mustn't discount Aston Villa's quality on the counter-attack, particularly with Duran on the field. Gnabry back to João Palhinha. First touches for him, the 29-year-old, and a big physical presence at 6'3" in the central area for Bayern. Now Upamecano, who's defended very well in the second half. Flip of the centre circle onto Musiala. Musiala with just a sea of claret and blue between him and Emi Martinez's goal. Upamecano To the right-hand side now in Lima. Lima goes down. He was fouled by Martin as he tried to play a quick 1-2. Free kick Bayern in a potentially dangerous position.
Let's just do the scores now. Matchday Live in the 6 other games. Lille 1, Real Madrid 0. It remains in France. Sturm Graz 0, Club Brugge 1. Dinamo Zagreb 2, Monaco 0. Benfica 3, Atletico 0. Leipzig 2, Juventus 2. Juventus down to 10 men. And Liverpool 2, Bologna 0 after Mo Salah's second-half goal.
And Lima has limped to his feet. Bayern free kick, about 35-40 metres out, right of centre, 10 metres or so infield. Jean Pellegrini has added to Bayern's aerial ability now in these sorts of situations. Still looking for his first goal for the club. Kimmich dinks in the free kick, well taken by Martinez, high above his head.
Yeah, it was excellent, positive goalkeeping. Came really early for that. It's excellent in those situations, Martinez. I do think Villa have played with such determination and such discipline in this second half.
Excellent ball fed forward, and Girona shoots! What a hit and what a goal! The super sub has done it again! He just can't stop scoring, and he has netted one of Aston Villa's most historic goals for decades! Back in the Champions League, Girona is the man for Aston Villa! So quick, Pau Torres up the middle, and Girona has scored a wonder goal. He's hit it from 35 yards, Neuer off his line, no chance of reaching it. It's a remarkable, instinctive finish, and is that enough to make Aston Villa winners on the night? VAR will check it again, it might be close for offside. What an early ball by Pau Torres. What an instinctive early finish from Girona over the goalkeeper. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0. This man just loves scoring goals.
Joe, one of the things we've talked about all night long is that high defensive line, and for once, Dayot Upamecano in this second half doesn't quite read the danger quickly enough, so he can't get to Duran, but Duran's still got to recognise the goalkeepers off his line, still got to hit it first time, and still got to find the perfect finish. It's a magnificent goal, but again, it's the risk of playing that high defensive line, and this time, Villa have caught Bayern out.
And the goal stands. The 5th goal that John Girona scored off the bench so far this season in all competitions. And for Aston Villa, the first goal at home in the Champions League in over 40 years, as they win a free kick in the right-back position. Duran hit it so instinctively, so early, and he who scored a wonder goal against Everton at that end of the field has done it again against one of the great teams of the Champions League.
He's so unpredictable, and that's what makes him so dangerous as a striker, because you just don't quite know what he's going to do. I don't think he has any idea from one moment to the next, but that ability to just trust your instinct, and he has such technique. I mean, the talent level is so high.
An incredible deafening noise at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0. Duran flicks the ball down the middle, and here is Philogene into the area, heavy touch. Min-Jae Kim comes across to sweep it out to play. Every Aston Villa fan on their feet, all singing wildly, and it's Aston Villa who lead 1-0.
So many of the games so close tonight. And that's the case at the moment in Zagreb, because Monaco have pulled one back through Salisu. It's Dinamo Zagreb 2, Monaco 1, with roughly 13 minutes to play.
And 9 minutes plus added time to go here at Villa Park. Konsa's going to take the throw for Aston Villa. 10 metres or so from the corner flag on the near side of the field, and he wins another throw with the back heel of Gnabry.
What an effort, though. And what we're seeing, of course, is a Villa team that's been with their coach for a long, long time, and a Bayern team that has done really well under Vincent Kompany so far, but is very early in his journey in Bavaria. And Villa have followed the plan to the letter, especially in this second half, when it got tough, when spaces were starting to open up, when Musiala was running at them, they dug in, and they've done that really, really well.
Here is Davies, down the near side, the left for Bayern. Wall of noise, actually from all 4 sides of Villa Park. And Bayern are right in the middle of it, and they're 1-0 down. João Palhinha midway inside opposition territory. John Duran off the bench to score the only goal so far. Will it be enough to win the game for Aston Villa? and give them 6 points from 2 matches to start the Champions League campaign. Zane corner of the penalty area, onto that favoured left foot. Now Davies. Davies looks up, centre position, dinks in the cross, header away by Luca Digne. Aston Villa are going to have to be even more disciplined now as Duran knocks a long ball down the middle. The back header from Min-Jae Kim to Neuer, who's headed that into the path of Upamecano.
I mean, he will never back down, Manuel Neuer. He'll always come into that sweeper-keeper position. It is amazing self-belief that he has.
And now Lima, little 1-2 with Zane, who can't keep possession, and Villa have it with Rodgers, dispossessed by Upamecano. It'll be a long 7 minutes plus added time for Aston Villa followers in the crowd. Kimmich up the middle, header away by Tielemans this time. Excellent performances all over the pitch from Aston Villa, and John Duran has come off the bench to get his customary goal. Here is Kimmich to the right of the centre circle. Lima back to Min-Jae Kim. And now Upamecano forward to Musiala. Aston Villa, everybody back. Philogene makes a great interception in the right back position. What a call for Unai Emery to bring him into the team, and how good a call it has proven. Excellent sliding tackle, João Palhinha. Now Gnabry, left wing position. Kane making his way into the box. Gnabry reverse ball to Musiala. That was out of play, surely, as Kimmich shoots. It was turned away by the goalkeeper, and indeed the referee confirms that it was out of play. It'll be a goal kick to Aston Villa, who lead 1-0, Kev Hatchard.
Joe, you're absolutely right about Philogene. I think he's been sensational. I think he's shown real bravery, real belief in his own ability. I think he's been outstanding. I think he's put in a shift without the ball. Really good call by Unai Emery. We're just seeing on our monitors the replay of the goal. It's such a smart piece of play by Villa, because they've been looking for that early ball in behind the whole time. All starts with that positive goalkeeping from Martinez, and then they just go. And Upamecano he's a second out in recognising the danger. And that's all it takes, because he can't quite get tight enough. And that second is all Duran needs to recognise what he can do. But then to execute it is something else. It's a very special goal from a very special young player.
Digne midway inside Bayern territory, and there's a scramble between 2 or 3 players on both sides. In the end, the throw will go Bayern's way in the right back spot, and Aston Villa supporters are cheering every intervention now as Bayern, Kev, look to make a double change here.
Yeah, they're going to bring on Mathys Tel, who is a dangerous striker. He can play wide. He'll move to this left-hand side, I imagine. And they're going to just pep up the attacking options. I think he's very, very quick. He's got great self-belief. Lima was looking as if he was struggling a bit. Leon Goretzka is going to come on as well, and they're taking off Kim, which is interesting. So we'll see how they reorganise. It looks as though actually they've moved Goretzka into that defensive line. He has played centre-back before.
So it's Min-Jae Kim and Konrad Lima off. Tel and Goretzka on the ball now, the two onto the pitch for Bayern, who need an equaliser here late on. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0. Kimmich over the halfway line, steers the ball square and infield to João Palhinha. Right of the centre circle, high diagonal ball, swept to the left in a first touch for the number 39 Tel, the 19-year-old. Quick feet, right-footed delivery, diving header away by Diego Carlos. 4 minutes plus added time now for Aston Villa to see out here at Villa Park for a famous win. And Duran with great tenacity chasing back the goal scorer. Ezri Konsa's ball upfield, intercepted by Tel. Philogene slides in, but Davies is there to win it back. Davies drives infield to a central position, then flicks the ball wide to Musiala, called for it in front of Tel. Musiala corner of the box, his feet to lay it square to Tel, who pokes it back to Goretzka. Aston Villa full-blooded with every challenge, but they are getting a very good compact shape out of possession. And now Barkley on the ball for them, trots forward towards halfway, blocks off by Kimmich. Barkley goes to ground, gives it away to Davies. Here come Bayern from right to left towards the Holt end. Still 1-0 down on UEFA Champions League Matchday Live. What a night this could be for Aston Villa. Davies evades the sliding challenge of Rodgers, the flick down the middle for Musiala, the interception from Ezri Konsa. Bayern still hoping they can carve out a chance for any one of the myriad quality attacking players they have on the pitch. Dead ball line is Musiala into the penalty area. Cross turn behind for a corner by Diego Carlos.
Yeah, it was a good ball to find Musiala in the first place. Goretzka just stepping out of that defensive line and helping out in midfield, but just couldn't cut the ball back enough to the edge of the penalty area. I think that's where it needed to go.
Holt End corner for Bayern. Nail-biting moments these for Aston Villa supporters. Kimmich to take it, right-footed, Kane inside. A couple of metres from the goal line, whipped in by Kimmich towards Harry Kane, punched away by Martinez. Tell on the edge of the penalty area, jinks back onto his left side, couple of step overs, he's away from Philogene, plays it square now to Zane, a long way out. Zane's left-footed ball to the back post, Kimmich controls, looping first-time cross, Kane at the back post, can't get his head to it, nodded behind by Digne. Bayern did very well to make something of that. They'll have another corner shortly.
4-0 Benfica. Okan Kökçü from the penalty spot against Atletico, but my word, 10-man Juventus are winning at Leipzig. Francisco Conceição off the bench, squared up to his defender, right side of the area, and just rolls it into the corner. He's taking his shirt off, he's been booked. They're hugging Thiago Motta. Leipzig 2, Juve 3.
Zane's corner headed away at the near post by Duran. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0. 90 seconds to go. Villa fans get to their feet. Incredible drama all around Europe so far tonight. And Bayern pushing, but they can't find the equaliser, Kev Hatchan.
No, they haven't quite got the pace of play at the moment to open Villa up. Villa have been so determined, and the defensive side of the things has been excellent.
Mattis Tell with a low shot, straight at Martinez.
Again, it's about decision-making. We've seen this a lot, actually, from Bayern in the last few minutes. They've got themselves into some really good positions, but just maybe slightly under-hit crosses or not coming in on your right foot when you should, little things like that. And in that kind of away game, in this kind of atmosphere, that can happen even to the best players. And I think Villa have done a really good job of giving the crowd something to feed off, and it's become a symbiotic thing in this second half. It's been an excellent performance, it really has.
A minute to go, plus added time. Back it goes to Martinez, who'll clatter the ball high downfield. High raking ball up towards Duran. It's spun off the head of Upamecano. Kimmich forward towards halfway. Gnabry plays a back pass to the feet of Neuer. And Bayern now with Goretzka playing as a left-sided centre-half. 20 seconds of normal time to go. Would be one of Aston Villa's great European nights, this. Halfway line is Goretzka, steering it wide left to Tell. Tell taking on Philogene. Tell rolls the ball to the feet of Kane. He's onside. Kane, though, dispossessed by Pau Torres. It's quickly won back by Tell on the edge of the area. Right-footed curling shot is blocked by Tielemans. The loose ball will trickle towards the dead ball line, and Philogene has somehow beaten 2 Bayern players to that. Goretzka wins it back. Now Jalpalinia, corner of the area. Musiala with a low ball in. Gnabry forces a brilliant save. He was onside with a late darting run. Martinez saves. Villa break. Rodgers, centre circle, turns away. Maatsen down the middle. Maatsen could still reach this. It's ricocheted off the legs of Upamecano and through to Manuel Neuer. What a stop by Martinez. 30 seconds through 4 added minutes at the end of the game.
Wonderful goalkeeping. It's such a good ball through to find Gnabry, and all he's trying to do is just flip it past Martinez. But I actually think there aren't many goalkeepers in the world who are better than him in that kind of situation, because he recognises the danger, he stands up strong, he doesn't do much, he doesn't move much, he doesn't have to, because he doesn't have to gamble. Just stay strong, make yourself big, and that's exactly what he's been able to do, and Gnabry unable to beat that barrier.
Martinez has gone down in front of the Holt End. Diego Carlos comes across, as do 2 Aston Villa physios. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0 in stoppage time.
Oh, what a night in the Champions League, the new look league phase. Lille are 1 up on Real Madrid. Their goalkeeper, Lucas Chevalier, is having some night, making a string of remarkable saves to keep it 1-0 after Jonathan David's first half penalty. Benfica, this will go down historically for them in recent years. 4-0 winners against Atletico, now into 5 added minutes at the end of the game. 10-man Juventus, they went 2-1 down from the spot, now lead 3-2 at Leipzig. Full-time score at Sturm Graz, where Club Brugge have won by 1-0. It's still Dinamo Zagreb 2, Monaco 1. They're into the 87th minute there, with Monaco pressing for their equaliser, and Liverpool with a victory tonight. Full-time whistle there. They've beaten Bologna by 2-0. Mo Salah on the score sheet in the second half, having made the opener for Alexis McAllister.
Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0. Into the last 2 minutes of added time. Bayern chip the ball into the area. The ball drops to Kimmich. He's got in moments of confusion with Gnabry, and it's hammered away by Digne. Attack the defence for the last 90 seconds of stoppage time. Martinez having been treated back on his feet, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. What a save just a few moments ago to deny Serge Gnabry. João Palhinha 30 metres out. A speculative shot charged down by Tielemans. John Duran's goal off the bench separates the two teams. If Aston Villa win this, the roar that will go up, it'll sound like they've won the UEFA Champions League already. As it is, it'll be 2 wins from 2 to start the league phase. But they've waited so long to get here, and they've very nearly done enough to see the game out. Kane edge of the penalty area. Now Musiala for Bayern. The referee's spotted something. He's given a free kick. And the yellow card out of the pocket here for Diego Carlos. And it's a free kick to Bayern, Kev Hatchard, that I think will be very close to the edge of the penalty area. Handball by Diego Carlos.
Yeah, Harry Kane's trying to race through on the edge of the penalty area. It's a bouncing ball. Diego Carlos just instinctively moves across and handles it and stops the attack. So it's absolutely right that it's a yellow card. They've got a lot of potential takers here, Bayern.
Suddenly, Villa Park, Kev, has fallen absolutely silent, but for the pocket of Bayern fans, this may well be the last chance of the game.
Well, Harry Kane will fancy it. There's no doubt about that. We've seen him score from this kind of range time and time again. He's got the quality. Joshua Kimmich can hit them. Will they shift it? I imagine it's going to be an attempt to get it up and down over the wall, but it's not an easy thing to do.
We have had the 4 minutes of added time. And there's another yellow card out of the pocket of the referee. Diego Carlos has just been booked, and I think that's Duran, who has now been yellow carded as well. Diego Carlos was booked for the handball that led to the free kick, which is right on the edge of the area. Left of centre, 4 minutes of added time have been played. 3 over it, Sané, Kimmich and Harry Kane. Wouldn't it be just like him to strike oh so late? Aston Villa fans whistling, hearts in mouths and heads in hands. Philogene is lying behind the 5 men in the wall for Aston Villa here, right at the very end of the game. Holt end, Bayern free kick, 1-0 Villa. Kane standing over it, Kane striking it, blocked, corner, and there will be time to take it. Incredible tenacity from those Aston Villa players flinging themselves at the ball.
Emblematic of what they've been doing all night, Joe. Absolutely superb in those defensive situations. There was just a little bit of hesitation. Kane didn't seem to really know when they were going to shift that ball, and he was kind of had a couple of stutters afterwards.
Corner's taken short to Kimmich, corner the area to whip in the cross. Kane! What a save by Martinez! Back in by Goretzka, only half away. Matisse Tell to chip in the cross, all the way to the back post, cleared away by Barkley. What a save by Martinez! 2 arms up into the air like a gladiator. The Aston Villa goalkeeper, remarkable save to deny Harry Kane. And Bayern at the end of all that have still got themselves a throw.
Goal at Dinamo Zagreb. Monaco have equalised 2-2 in added time. Denis Zakaria, the captain, from the penalty spot. Zagreb 2, Monaco 2.
It's all over! One of Aston Villa's greatest ever European nights. How fitting! 42 seasons on from that great match-winning Peter Witt goal against Bayern in the Champions League in Rotterdam, that history should repeat itself in the league phase of the Champions League tonight. John Duran off the bench to score the winning goal, and at the end, how appropriate. North Stand, where Peter Witt's name is on the banner. John Duran has made himself an Aston Villa European hero. Unai Emery goes down the tunnel, and Emi Martinez, the man for the big occasion, the World Cup winning goalkeeper with 2 match-winning saves on match day 2 of the Champions League to preserve Aston Villa's 1-0 victory. The first save he made at 1-0 to deny Gnabry was remarkable, but the save in stoppage time, almost the last touch to palm away Harry Kane's header, was truly sensational. This a night that Villa Park will never forget, rocking to the sound of Holt enders in the sky, and Aston Villa are back in the Champions League, and they have produced a performance to show exactly why they are at European football's top table. 2 wins from 2 in the league phase, and how fitting that in their first home match in this competition, it is Bayern, the losers in the final in '82, who are beaten here in 2024. Duran off the bench to score the winner. What a night to be an Aston Villa fan. Aston Villa 1, Bayern 0.
If you're going to take down an elite team in the Champions League, what do you need? You need a game plan from a top coach. That's absolutely what they had. You need to have the willingness to stick to that game plan, the desire, the discipline. They absolutely did that. You need to offer a threat at the other end, and that ball in behind the high line was on all the time. Watkins made run after run after run in the first half. Didn't quite happen for him. Eventually, John Duran made the run and an instinctive finish. And then you need a top goalkeeper, a World Cup winning goalkeeper, to make big saves at the end. All of that in the mix, and it leads to this.
Oh, what a night in the UEFA Champions League in France. Lille have beaten the champions Real Madrid by 1-0. Wild celebrations there, just as you can hear at Villa Park after their victory against Bayern. Full-time whistle in Lisbon. Benfica have beaten Atletico Madrid by 4-0 tonight. They're still playing in Leipzig. 9 minutes of added time. They're into the 5th there. Leipzig 2, Juventus 3. Club Brugge have gone to Sturm Graz, who got their first win in the competition, winning by 1-0, and they're still playing in Zagreb, where it is Dinamo Zagreb 2, Monaco 2. Monaco coming from 2 goals behind to level that game with a late penalty, and full-time at Anfield. Liverpool have beaten Bologna by 2-0. Alexis McAllister and Mo Salah, the goal scorers. What a thrilling night in the New Look League phase in the UEFA Champions League.